All right, we ready? Catalyst, ready? Good?
Mm-hmm.
Hello? All right, let's start this up. You ready, guys? Battlefield show. We're back. Episode 36. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Battlefield show. The weekly
Yeah.
Battlefield podcast is final return after a whole year. I think it's been almost a year at this
Has-
point.
Wow.
It's been a long time. Catalyst is my first guest for season 3, episode 36 of the Battlefield show. It's really exciting to have the show back and to have Catalyst back on the show. You were on one of my conglomerate episodes where we railed Battlefield 5 for being the terrible game that it was, and deservedly so. And I
Mm-hmm.
am glad you are back with us once again. How you doing, Catalyst?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It I don't it's a huge honor because I've watched plenty of Battlefield shows, and in the year that I've gotten to know you and everybody else in the Twitch side of the Battlefield community, uh, it's been we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. I'm excited, especially
Yeah.
because you and I have kind of gone down similar paths when it came to dealing with how we handled our channels and our platforms once Battlefield 5 kind of stopped content. So
Things have
and
changed. People had to
yeah,
adapt. Not just
yeah,
us. Tons. I mean, big time streamers, big time YouTubers had to just simply move on from what was the remnants of Battlefield 5. There really just wasn't there. No content. You see people complaining about like viewer numbers going down, and well, simply because DICE abandoned the program and moved on to 2042, which is what we are going to talk about today. Their brand new future or semi-futuristic modern combat war game here with 3 unique ways to play. Maybe 2.5. I'm not even sure. We'll go into it a little bit because things are kind of still murky. We haven't seen a
mhm.
whole lot of gameplay, to be honest. Kind of concerning. A lot of people are like, hey, why aren't you showing unfiltered gameplay? I think we have some ideas as to why they're not doing that. Either it's due to leaks or due to misinformation getting out there, or the third possibility, which everyone's thinking of, they're not ready to release it yet. there's so many different things out there, so many conspiracies. But first, we're gonna get to know our wonderful guest here, Catalyst HD. He is a YouTuber now back on Twitch. Still doing videos on YouTube, of course, changing up the style a little bit. And yeah, Catalyst, how was? Let's start with well, tell us a little bit more about yourself when it comes to content creation and whatnot.
Well, I've been on YouTube. I've been making YouTube videos for 4 years with no serious intent. It was kind of just a hobby for me. I loved the Battlefield franchise since I started playing in Battlefield 3 and more towards Battlefield 1 when I was with my friends and I just wanted to start making content. And after I broke away kind of from that friend group and I decided to do because Catalyst HD was actually originally a community channel called Legendary Inc. that I ran and I posted on most of the time. So I said, hey, y'all bozos not going to put up any content. I'm just going to move myself and I'm going to focus on Battlefield because Battlefield was the game franchise that I got the most views on. So I said, okay, let's do Battlefield. I like the game anyway, and that was the very beginning of Battlefield 1 when um, say what you want about Battlefield 1, but I think, early on Battlefield 1 was a pretty good and solid experience.
Oh
Um,
yeah, Battlefield 1 was popping, dude.
yeah,
People were all about Battlefield 1 simply because of the risk Dice had to take, and the
it was
I would
different. It
say
was unique.
it was unique, and it had that style that were like,
Mhm.
ooh, this is visceral. This is pretty dirty, like I'm gonna get dirty
Mhm.
in this game, So yeah, people ate it up quite a bit, especially with the whole the sales gimmick of like behemoths and well how that turned out. But yeah,
Yeah.
Battlefield 1 must have been huge for people where they all got their
So
start.
yeah, I kept creating content and I started to gain, a meager following, which then, the better that I got at the game and the more invested I got into Battlefield and really discovering the love that I had that I guess I had always known for the franchise, but hadn't really explored, in terms of like, okay, now I'm like a dedicated Battlefield fan. The more I got into that, the better I got into the game. I started playing competitively, which is kind of it's a bit of a meme to say that there's competitive in Battlefield because there's really not. There hasn't been any true like Battlefield competitive scene since like the beginning of Hardline. But
Yeah.
that be what it may, I started playing competitively and I started taking YouTube videos more seriously, and I really found a passion for teaching people how to play Battlefield. Not like some all the big YouTubers will touch on gameplay tips or whatever, but actually like fundamentally teaching people how to play Battlefield, like how to position yourself and how to control recoil well, and kind of just the moving parts of Battlefield. Which Battlefield for new players can be just an overwhelming experience sometimes. It's truly, and what's makes it so special is it's truly kind of unlike any other experience that's on the market. And it's very overwhelming to play for new players. So I really try to uh, focus my content around good gameplay and good people and teaching people how to play. And obviously, I took a little bit of a hiatus, but I'm back now and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about the hiatus and why you chose to do that.
Well, it was a couple of things. The pandemic definitely shook me, like it did a lot of people. I kind of lost my job. I say lost, but I was in line for a full time position at my job, and the pandemic kind of cut costs in half, which means I was the odd man out. So I had to continue working as a part time slash
Yeah.
internship position. So I started creating content full time and trying to stream all the time because I said, well, I guess this is not to say all I have, but this is all I can do right now because hell, we can't go outside. What are we can't go outside. We got to wear masks everywhere. And Florida was particularly dangerous about it because um, mask mandates here weren't really um, followed
Followed.
as strictly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
without getting into the politics of it, weren't followed so strictly, and we were very loose with it. So the risk was always much higher. So it's like, okay, we're gonna try and really actually be a content creator. And I always joked about it because like YouTube and Twitch was always a hobby for me, always a hobby. I never ever wanted to be like a content creator, so to speak. So to like actually like buckle down and say, okay, I'm gonna make a go at this and try and make content. And I, I guess in hindsight, it was too much for me to handle, but it just after a while with Battlefield 5 stopping content and YouTube becoming unreliable because the pandemic affected YouTube as well. Notifications weren't working, our quality was dropped.
Amazing.
Notifications,
It,
subscriptions weren't working, and
it's amazing how those
um,
little things in YouTube affect all the YouTubers. Like, you
yeah,
have to have those.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's as if you just didn't exist. It's
Monetization was
crazy.
affected too. Yeah. And eventually just got to a point where I was just not enjoying video games anymore. I wasn't enjoying content anymore. Because video games for me should always, your number one priority when playing video games should always be an escape from the real world. You should
Yeah.
always go to play video games to have fun, whether that be by yourself, with a community, or with friends. And I just lost that feeling. And it got to the point where even playing like single player games just wasn't doing it for me anymore.
Hmm.
Um, so it was a point where I realized that I had just been building up all this anxiety and depression, and I just wasn't mentally right to
Gotcha.
continue doing what I was doing. And I don't use that lightly. Depression is a serious thing, and I was super scared initially to take that break because it's like there's the stigma of the content creator with mental health issues, kind of. And um, I talked about this on separate podcasts before about how I was feeling as a content creator and how important mental health is. And I just realized that I needed to take that break and I needed to take a step back and realize what was happening to me as a person and understand that hey, this is still a hobby. You shouldn't be hating your hobby. That's not the point of it.
Right.
So I stopped making content and I took some time for myself. I took some vacation with my family and I got my mental right. And knowing that it would kind of nuke my channel in the process, it was something that I had to deal with. But if coming back now and being on Twitch again and YouTube again and getting to hang out with my friends like you, like if you ask me again, like, hey, would you take that break again? I would take that break again 100%. Because your happiness and your mental health and your general worth as a person you should invest in yourself over, pushing yourself through something that you're just clearly not
S-
enjoying, and I just was not
Yeah.
enjoying it.
So what was that point? Like maybe it might help someone that's also going through this. What was that point that gave you enough time or courage to come back and do more content creation? What made that switch as to not just prolonging uh the vacation or the break?
So I started my own sports podcast. For those of you who don't know, I graduated from Florida State University with a degree in English, and I'm a sports writer. When I'm not making content, so I decided to try and tap into the podcast side of things, and I had my own sports podcast for a while to kind of fulfill the creative process that I was lacking because I wasn't making content anymore. And it was really just kind of that realization that as creative people, whether it's the left side of our brain, whether it's the right side of our brain, like as creative people, we're always needing something to fulfill that creative need in our lives. And I figured that, for the long time, the truth was I didn't know whether I was going to come back or not. I don't want to make it
Okay.
feel like, oh, he always knew that he was going to come back. This whole, mental health thing was a sham. Like he just didn't, his views weren't up. Uh, the reality is that I didn't know whether I was going to come back, but I kind of realized that you need to pace yourself. You need to moderate yourself. You need to find what you enjoy. And I found out and understood that I am a creative person at my heart, and I enjoy making creative content, and I need something to fill that creative process for me. Whether that's making sports podcasts, like talking about sports, or where that's making Battlefield videos. And of course, it was like, well, the reality is that hey, the next Battlefield game is going to be coming out this year. I might as well start and slowly build myself up to making content again. And that was kind of the thing that said, okay, I should probably do this. And also, I made the switch from console to PC, and
Right.
that
I
kind
want
of
to talk about that.
yeah, that kind of like revitalized kind of my enjoyment of the game a little bit because I was learning something new, always something to learn. So once I got to a point on PC where I'm like, okay, I'm at a point where I'm feeling comfortable in my skill set to be able to perform similarly and put on a good show. I said, it's time to start making content again, and it's time to kind of rekindle the fire of the
Right.
hobby that I had lost, so to speak.
So I can see here on your YouTube page, you have kind of changed up the way. I know you do like the regular breakdowns and whatnot,
Mm.
and showcase some gameplay and whatnot. But it looks like you got a different direction as to point out like specific players in the community that have certain talents that others might be interested in, and you can break those down for your
Mhm.
audience. What is that like going for you so far?
The Battlefield Breakdown series is something I think that's really unique and special. Um, like I said, like part of me creating content on YouTube is always to help people to get better. Um, and there's always going to be YouTubers that give you tips on how to play the game, but to be able to show visual examples about what good players do that make them so successful is, I think, an opportunity that hasn't been quite as explored. In Battlefield, there's certainly some. I used to do a series a long time ago when I was still making content on Battlefield 5 called "Review My Gameplay," where I had viewers submit gameplay, and I
Yeah,
recognized it's one thing to like judge random people's gameplay and point out mistakes, but there's also the antithesis to that, which is like showing good players' gameplay and showing how they react in that situation. So, Battlefield Breakdown was something that I really thought was a good idea, and it also allows me to highlight some players that I think deserve more recognition, that are really talented players and they're good people. So I wanted to give back to the community that I had gotten to know
yeah,
more
man.
extensively over on Twitch for like 6 or 7 months. So I wanted to highlight those players, and
Yeah,
I
these
wanted to
are
show people, how
yeah,
good they can be.
yeah. These are you can break these down. I mean, these are pretty thorough videos about specific patterns, movements, speed, and
Hmm.
the way they engage. Like sometimes they like right there, Max Seek here times certain things out because he knows and studied a lot of the different elements of the game and how he
Hmm.
is being more aggressive, which can benefit a lot of people. You can catch the enemy by surprise. So you go through a lot of the stuff here. It's pretty good information for any new players coming in, so they can perhaps try this way of attacking and maybe not be so scared or still. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems with Battlefield 5 is it promoted achievements or assignments or
Yep.
weapons that were like, if you want to use this effectively, you got to be on the ground prone. Thank you very much. Or like some stupid, dumb design decision went through some Dice developer's head that maybe this would be cool, but didn't really
Right.
play test it or anything. If you look at a lot of the really good players that succeed, they don't do any of that unless they're
Exactly.
memeing around. All right, they're super aggressive. They use as much cover as possible, and this is just standard way of playing FPS shooter games. You need that stuff to take an advantage. So, I mean, these are fantastic
Yeah,
videos.
definitely.
Y'all should,
Definitely.
yeah, forget the whole immersion part, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's oftentimes like the small things that good players do that you'll be watching somebody's gameplay in the background, like while they're doing a commentary or something, and you'll see them, oh, like, oh my god, they just got like 5 kills like in a row. Okay, but how did they do that? How did they put themselves in that situation? It's the small decisions that some players make, like moment to moment decisions that make them so good. And if it's the small things that I have to legitimately slow down the video and point at it like with a bunch of red arrows and say, "Look, this is why." And like how would any casual player, with all due respect, how would any casual player that's just learning the franchise or maybe only has like 1 or 2 games under their belt, how would they ever like recognize that unless somebody taught them or told them how to do it? So,
It's
um,
almost like I compare it to kind of watching a single player walkthrough, but
yeah,
like adapting, and people love that shit. I eat it up too. Sometimes I watch walkthroughs of like Dark Souls 3 because it's such a hard game. I am getting my ass kicked in Dark Souls 3, super hard. I'm looking at how other people play like a mage or something. It's the same thing. How do people play medic? How do people play aggressive medic? And you're pointing out really good players that take full advantage of either a meta or the way people play and whatnot. So I think it's a really cool idea for that. Do you have any other ideas coming up for 2042? Are they going to be mostly breakdown stuff, or are you kind of just like going with the flow?
Uh, you know what? To be honest with you, I'm just planning to go thermonuclear, to be honest with you. Uh, just
Ah,
like, oh my god, like with all the all-out warfare stuff and the breakthrough and like the balance of specialists and weapons in that game, and then like everything in the portal, like I'm just probably, I don't know,
yeah.
you know, talking from somebody like who has experience with serious burnout. I, to say that I'm just gonna go thermonuclear and post a bunch of content is it may not be the smartest thing to do. I'll definitely like have to sit down and have an honest talk with myself and say, and that's actually something that I'm proud of. Like in my comeback, is I've sat myself down and said, okay, what is reasonable for you to the point where you don't get as bad to where you were before, right? So
Right.
going into 2042, where they're just kind of throwing content at us. Well, I mean, the possibility of content they haven't really shown us all that much, but they're teasing the dollar bill over like the amount of content that we can potentially have. So I need to sit down with myself and say, okay, like what's reasonable for Catalyst? Like what's reasonable for Nick? Like what's going to make it to the point where he doesn't hate himself, like in terms of like making all this content? But breakdowns for sure, guides, and once I actually like a month or two into the game, once I can like actually sink my teeth into the game and understand like all the moving parts, because every Battlefield game is different. Once I can understand like the moving parts, I can start making guides and montages and gameplay and highlights and uh, other content that I enjoy making.
Yeah,
So
and that's going to be one of the main focuses of today's talk is the whole portal system, the portal experience, where it kind of seems they've taken all the craziness of past battlefields, current ones, and put it in the sandbox for people to play around.
mhm.
Uh, and people are very concerned about that, especially coming from Battlefield 1 and 5. Balance is a huge thing to make things less cancerous and less swarms of people coming at you. You don't want zerging to be a thing.
Yeah.
But it seems like the language they're using is that we know And maybe in certain aspects and certain experiences, we don't care. It comes to a point of you make the decision of whether you want this to be balanced or not for this specific experience. And I think they're going to
We're
try to.
tired of balancing our game. You do it.
Yeah, that's basically what they were saying for some of the Portal game modes that you can make is you can put up 2042 versus 1942 players. But we'll get into all of that in a bit. We have a whole list of stuff. Look at this. Look at this list. There's a lot of things to talk about. That's why I wanted to bring the Battlefield show back now, right after they showcase that, because there's a lot of questions people may need the answers to. And it looks like they have a little bit. So if in the chat, and hello chat, sorry for ignoring you guys, but I didn't want this to be a total train wreck. I haven't done a show like this in over a year, but it's good to have you guys back, all the Battlefield fans here. Thank you guys so much for coming on in. I tried to get the chat box in here, but it doesn't seem to be working. I don't know why. Maybe I blew it. It's my first time. There's going to be bugs and whatnot. I'll try to get it back on for next episode, but I wanted you guys to be right in the center there. But, oh well. I also, when I was off streaming for a year, off Battlefield for a year, I added a whole bunch of, like, chat stuff that people can play around, like sounds and farts and stuff.
For the record, chat, I understand that I've demonic fart blasted you all about 15 million times into oblivion. I said that we should do it. Like, when I get introduced, like, chat should be able to fart bomb me for like a good 3 minutes. But we didn't have, like, just like Battlefield 5, no tech. We didn't have the technology to like shut it off after the initial bombardment.
That was the thing. I was like, I can turn it on, but it's hard to turn off. Like, cause you have to go back and like click all the little bubbles. Like, yeah. I guess. Hey, how about this? Here, chat. Check this out. I'll let it slide for like a couple seconds. There's people know what I went through. Let me see. Here, see, I have to click like a billion different windows here and here. Like, I'll turn that on. So they refresh that if you don't see it, but now you can use the bonk like a billion times if you need to. They do this to me all the time. They attack me on my channel. Ow! Good God. Why? Lord. They're doing it to me, not you, Catalyst. Run away! But anyway, you guys get the picture. Okay, it's off. All right. No more. No more. Stop. Bad chat.
Bad chat. Yeah. Stop it, chat, you goofballs. Holy shit.
So yeah, that's what I was ended up doing all that stuff, and I don't even
you
know
happy
what
now?
I was talking about. But yeah, you guys happy now? Great. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. The show must go on. Just collateral brain damage here. But yeah, we only have a couple of concussions.
Yeah, I'll try to get the chat box on there next episode. But anyway, okay. So one little thing before we move on to what 2042 has to offer here. What was your experience going from PC to console? Anything you wanted to share about that? Did you struggle? Was it easy?
Okay, so I got my PC in May of last year, so that would have been May 2020. And I initially tried to make the jump then, but I was still competing on console. So the difference, like, once you actually get to play with a mouse and a keyboard, going back and holding this brick in your hand with input lag and 60 frames per second is just like the worst experience. Not to say that PC mustard race people are completely right.
Mustard?
Mustard. That's the console joke. Is it the PC mustard race? But the PC master race people, not to say that they're completely right, but definitely like it was a better experience. And I decided then and there, like, okay, I'm gonna complete all my obligations on PlayStation before I actually make an attempt to move. And once I did, I struggled a little bit. I think the one thing that doesn't translate very well between watching console gameplay and watching PC gameplay, unless you've played both, is the fact that PC gameplay is so much faster than console gameplay is. There's just a heightened pace to the game, and I know people are going to say, well, the PC lobbies are campier, and that's true. But generally speaking, I found it really hard to focus sometimes because um, on console, everybody, the stigma of a console player like sitting on his couch on a 60-inch HD TV with Cheeto dust on his fingers, like the reaction time of console players with aim assist is nothing like at least a decent like PC player. So the pacing is something that I had to adjust to. The recoil I didn't struggle with, but I will say that Battlefield 5 is not a good game to learn PC on. But in my case, it actually worked out. It benefited myself in the sense that learning PC on Battlefield 5 as opposed to like learning on like CS:GO, which is a little bit more of a simple mouse and keyboard game where you don't have to do too much. You can really focus on your inputs and your aim and everything. Playing on Battlefield 5, it allowed me to kind of use my previous knowledge of the game to where I could still likewise play the game, but I didn't have to focus on learning the game and learning, how to aim with the mouse and how to like not fat finger a bunch of stuff on my keyboard. Does that make sense? Like in that sense, it was easier for me,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
like there was definitely a step up that I had to adjust it to on PC. But now that I've been on it for 7 months, I'm performing, um, excuse me, about as good as I was performing on console, if not better.
That's amazing. How long do you think
So
it took you? Like maybe a couple months or a month?
I would say that it probably started clicking for me around month 4 or 5, to
Oh,
where I could start, like, really zoning in and understand and kind of, like, have everything work together. And I'm
okay.
still, like I still don't consider myself good on PC yet. I still fat finger stuff all the time, and, uh, there's still some things that I definitely need to learn, and I obviously, like, playing Battlefield 5, there's a bunch of random recoil, like, I don't know how good my aim actually is. There's definitely some stuff to learn, and I'm looking forward to, like, making myself better, because that's just kind of the way that I think. It's like
Cool.
especially when it comes to competitive stuff and playing even though Battlefield's a casual game, it's like, "How can I make myself better? What can I do to make myself better?" Um,
Yeah, aiming's a huge point
yeah,
to make yourself a better player. If you can
absolutely.
even if you're clicking one bullet at a time, as long as you're on the nose and you can do that consistently, you're gonna be a way better player. If you get there faster, like I would think most players like on PC don't really have the tech. You know what I'm saying? You get good frame rates enough to where they can lock onto people
Mhm.
quickly. So people are
Yeah.
playing like below 30 FPS, Callus, on PC, and they're like, "I'm a PC mustard race," like you say.
Yeah.
So
I'll
it's
tell
a
you what though,
problem.
I do miss having a lot of options for lobbies, and I definitely do miss the
Oh yeah,
ability
yeah.
to just completely avoid cheaters altogether. Like, for any of you who are on console, right, and think that people are joking when they talk about how many cheaters play the game on PC, they are not joking at all. I would like, at all. You run into probably like, on a good night, you'll run into, like, maybe 2 blatant aim botters, and then there's probably about 15 other people that are closet cheating throughout like a 3 or 4 hour session. Like, people are not joking. I can't I can't tell you how many times like I'll be streaming the game, Julian, and I'll have a death. Like, I've played enough to where I can feel when a death is like really obscure, and I'll just sit there and like do like the little rock stink eye, from the W, where I just go like, "Are you
Mm.
sure?" It's an experience, but I'm happy that I made the switch from console to PC. Obviously, I still have friends on both platforms, and I will say that the reception from me moving from console to PC has been pretty warm and welcoming, and everybody's all like, "Oh, like, yeah, cool, you're on PC now. Like, you're a really good player. Like, we should play sometime." I'd be like, "Yeah, dude, that's awesome."
And
So
now
it's yeah,
Battlefield's going to be a whole nother dynamic of good
exactly.
old crossplay. Let's see how that works out. We'll be talking
I
about that
just
a little
I
bit
just left
later.
the aim assist. They tried to pull me back in. I just left the aim assist dice. God damn
You
it.
cannot run away now. But no, there'll be options to opt out. But I'll ask you later in the show whether you would
Mhm.
or whether if you would stay with PC. I mean, with the consoles now, or just stay with PC. Who knows? We'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, now let's get into 2042 and what they have to show. Let me bring up the catalog here. Maybe we'll go through a little bit of stuff for you,
The
newcomers
catalog.
here. Yeah.
Yes.
So okay.
Yes.
So one of the biggest. They have three core gameplay experiences to where I argue one of them may be a little flexible and the other two will be standard game modes, all right?
Hmm.
And the first one that they revealed was All Out Warfare, which is basically Battlefield with large maps that have conquest and breakthrough. Kind of similar to their previous titles back in the day, like 1942, Battlefield 2. They're always big maps with large scale of vehicular warfare where there's factions and you fight in conquest, which is you take over the entire map via capturing flags and whatnot. They basically have that back with the new Battlefield 1 breakthrough. What they call it again? Grand no operations. They call it right.
Hmm.
And then they had
Yeah.
grand operations on that fake game we won't talk about. But operations is basically what breakthrough is now, and they're bringing that back for all out warfare. So that will be their dice official. This is how you play with the specialists and with the sector control now with conquest. We haven't seen any breakthrough at all, so but I'm sure it's going to be what you think it's going to be.
The battlefield experience, so
All
to
right.
speak.
But the biggest thing is they added 128 players, 64 v 64, all out craziness. And if there's not enough people, they will backlog it with bots, AI bots, or how they call it, AI soldiers. Okay, they want to make that a point for some reason. But yes, we'll get into all that stuff a little later. All right, the second thing that they uncovered was Hazard Zone, but it was still not fully revealed yet. That is some sort of squad based, high stakes action game, team based game that we know literally nothing about, other than it's not a battle royale. It will not be a battle royale. And we just found out literally like yesterday, you cannot make a Hazard Zone in the portal. So Hazard Zone will be its own entity. You can't make a BR in Portal either, which we'll get into. So there's limitations there. Okay. People might be comparing Hazard Zone to some sort of mission where you start on either a boat as a team of limited amount of specialists, and you just move on. I'm just speculating here, and you move from there, and you probably capture some sort of like down satellite. People were talking about because one of the splash screens had a satellite falling from the sky, and you maybe have to go get the tech from it before the others do. It could be something like that, or an escape from Tarkov kind of thing. All right, and the third experience finally is the Battlefield Portal, which was revealed a few days ago, and it's, in my opinion, one of the best things the Battlefield series has ever seen in the modern era, or it can be the worst. And we shall talk about
It
that.
all depends on if it works or not. It could
Yeah,
be a
exactly.
catastrophe, but the
Welcome
principle,
all in
the
chat.
idea in principle, is really good. Uh,
Yeah.
apparently, it's something that's been like on the shelf for quite some time, and I'm just thinking, what the hell took you so long? Because like this has been something that I think the community overall has been asking for. An
Yeah.
experience like this has been something that we've been asking for forever. And I say that kind of like haphazardly, like what took you so long? If they released this during like Battlefield 5, it wouldn't have gone over well. I don't think.
Well, they didn't have
Um,
the infrastructure there. They had
they don't
nothing
have the
there.
tech,
They
but
have no tech.
yeah, no
No
tech.
UI limitations.
Yeah,
Could barely put out a what they call it, tides of war kind of thing.
yeah.
And they had that's not a real game. Anyway, we're not talking about that. But so yeah, those are three experiences. Portal. I have a theory. If you guys want to hear it, I think Portal was, well, it was just called Battlefield. I really think that Portal is the main focus, but it may have been a little too complicated to actually market it to people. So they went with the whole 2042, like we're in this setting, we're doing these kind of modern future modern combat. That's what's going on. And if you start lumping in like everything from the past, it's going to get kind of weird. Like this picture is extremely confusing. It's like, why is there a World War II aircraft with a whole bunch of modern war robo dogs? Like, what the fuck's going on here? But maybe that's what they're initially going with, is what it was just called Battlefield, and Portal was the main thing. But it doesn't look like you can market that well at all. So
No, I would
that's why
agree.
they probably change it to 2042 and add Portal as a separate thing, which thank the Lord Jesus over there, Ripple Effect. Thank you guys for even thinking about doing this, because whoever ran Battlefield 1 and 5, that was on the back burner for some strange, odd reason, even though it's been in every Battlefield game since. And now we have it. Say it with me, guys. At launch. This shit will be at launch. Will it work? We don't know, but it's at launch. That's insanity. That will change the whole dynamic of how people have been thinking about Battlefield and how to play Battlefield. For how long? When was the last game that had a true RSP catalyst? Like was it BF4 or
It would have
Hardline?
been Battlefield 1 had a rental server program that you could purchase servers with money. But even that was
A
like so
Battlefield 1.
unreliable. It was so unreliable. I mean, sometimes you would purchase the server and the server would just be not blatantly working. But
Okay.
even though it was Battlefield 1, I mean those rental server programs took a while to get there too. So
Yeah, that
feels
wasn't
like
at
forever
launch.
ago.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
I think it was Hardline was the last, maybe, where you can actually buy third party stuff, which
Honestly, I
I don't
can't
know.
remember. It was a long time
It's
ago,
a
but
big blur. Maybe you
shout out
guys know in
to
the chat.
shout out to Dice LA, aka Ripple Effect, for casually carrying the Battlefield franchise once again. Just
We wouldn't have Hardline if it wasn't for those men. We wouldn't have Battlefield
we
4.
wouldn't have
That would have
Battlefield
been a
4. Yeah,
that would have been a
uh,
dead game if they didn't invent CTE, which a lot of other studios adapted.
mhm.
Um, hell, I think the Overwatch people actually got that idea from CTE for Battlefield and Dice LA. So it's affected a lot of people. It's a great way. I hope they bring it back. I guess we'll talk about that later. Since they haven't announced a CTE for 2042. But maybe they can incorporate into the portal or even into their portal website, which we'll be talking about as well. Okay, so yes, let's talk about Portal. It's a custom player driven experience where you can pretty much even make your own game mode, so much so to where you can add your own subroutines using a logic system that they've incorporated. I think I could show a little bit, like a snippet of what they were showing here. Can you guys see this here? I'm not sure. Yes, you can. Okay. Down here, yes, they have some sort of builder now, which was way beyond my expectations. I don't know what you think, Catalyst, but did this surprise you? This logistic system here,
Yeah, no, I it totally surprised me.
right, dude? Like,
Especially
whoa.
like in comparison to what we got most recently, and I hate having to bring it back to Battlefield 5, but like for comparison's sake, the community games were so bare bones, and they basically gave us the running theme. They gave us half of what they promised us, right?
Oh
To
yeah,
have all of this be shoved into this new game mode with custom AI logic, which goes into pathing, which goes into specific situations, like if a certain player takes this amount of damage, what will happen? Or if this bomb is destroyed before this, like so many different things that can go into this, and it's all web based too, which I think is brilliant because it takes out a lot of the hassle of having to do it in game.
yeah,
Because like what if the in-game UI is just really really bad, or it's not compatible very well. To have it all in a web-based platform, kind of just like Battlelog was, where you can set on, you could go and you can do logic and there are a whole bunch of other features, like how much AI, like how much you want
right.
AI to play into it. uh I was genuinely. Oh, and I think the big one here is tweaking time to kill, like
Yeah, someone
more
brought that up in
more
chat.
yeah, more exclusively like talking about, well, do you want like a Battlefield 42 style time to kill? Do you want a Battlefield 2042 style time to kill? It exceeded my expectations, but then my mind instantly went back to, well, is it going to work? Because if it works, fantastic. This is something that I think a lot of people, especially like a lot of communities, I my reaction to this all was like, wow, the communities are going to get tools, like actual tools to
Yeah.
do so many creative things. And I think,
So
with
let's.
sorry to finish up the thought,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to with the amount of depth that they've put into this could lead to some incredibly satisfying and insane like community events, which is I think really important.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are having tons of fun. I also think that this might hit right off the road. Like straight away, you got techies and code master people are gonna go right and dig into this. It's
Mhm.
probably gonna be super simplistic on their end, like people who understand this stuff. But for the
Yeah.
normal Normans out there, they're not gonna know or even touch this at all. One little point though about the web-based builder, I wonder if they'll incorporate web-based admin tools on this as well for your server, where you have your builder and then you have your admin, like your server admin tools. Like you can see your whole the list of players in your server, and you just right-click ban if you need to, all on a web browser, so you can access that anywhere in the world.
Even
Hopefully
better,
they'll have
what
some
about
of
a
that.
bat are they going to bring back like a Battlefield app? Like I know
Yeah, an
there's the
app.
Battlefield
Yeah,
companion app, but like
I'm assuming.
what what if they released like a specific Battlefield 2042 portal app similar to not necessarily like the Battlefield companion app where you can like track your stats or whatever, but a separate app like you kind of remember when Battlefield 4 was being pitched and there was that huge commander mode and you could like take your iPad out and
Yeah,
like play commander mode, like stuff like that where you could just bring up your phone and be like, "Oh, uh Lord Baronox is cheating in this server. Let me just ban him real quick." For it just
yeah, they could have
memes,
done that. They just
but
did slash ban on like that text application that came with the server. What was it called again? Do you guys remember what that application was called? I think Dice ended up buying them or something. Archon, I think it was Archon. You
can't
guys
remember.
remember that Archon? I think that was way you can a Procon, yeah, something like that, where you can control everything via text files, basically, and you can control your whole server that way. Insert code as to like pop-ups and whatnot, and that's what this has. The builder has subroutines where you can greet new players that come in. You can have your website on there if you wanted to, or rules or anything you want. You can control all that stuff in this builder, and I think hopefully they'll incorporate as much Archon or Procon can use and utilize it now in this system would be every admin's dream too. And we'll get to a little bit more about one of the tweets I made as to like how having extra admins have access to your server, how that will be important and beneficial, not just you, the creator, because you just can't, in my opinion, control what's going on in your server all day. You're only on for like a specific amount of time, but you want
Mhm.
your server to prosper, and have a
Yeah.
good and everyone, show up and whatnot. But anyway, so yeah, so we got that logic system. Let's go over like the different things you can modify in this. I have a little bit of a list of our printout here. There might be definitely more than what I have here, but Brother Steve in the chat pointed out about the TTK and how we can change the TTK. Maybe they're preset TTK catalyst. I'm not sure, but
It'll
you
be a
can have
preset
them.
TTK.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can have them
it'll
from
be probably a slider, something
yeah,
along those
maybe a
lines.
slider, something from Core, which is the all-out warfare standardized model, and then you can have even a 1942. Like you could try to mimic the TTK from older games, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if Battlefield 5 will pop up. You might have to put two different variants on there. Days. Got him, right?
Let's do
Don't fucking do that
core
again, by the way.
Battlefield. Let's go core Battlefield 1942 remake and hardcore or core conquest
A
Battlefield
Conquest
2042
Core.
or
Remember
whatever
that?
it was.
Conquest Core?
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was enjoyable. Okay, anyway, so there's TTK, right? You can do that to however you want in your server. You can even change things like in specific types of movement. You can change whether you can slide or not, whether you can prone or not, whether you can sprint or not. Maybe there might be a little bit more options there with sprinting. You can have like Battlefield 2 sprint where you'll just start huffing and puffing after a while. You have to wait for a cooldown, then you can resume again. A little annoying. They ended up getting rid of that later on, but
Yeah.
yeah, you can do that if you want. But yeah, you can make it a Bad Company 2 experience where you don't prone. You can't prone. You can only crouch. That'll be really fun. I wonder if those will take off. If those will
I
be
think that
popular.
I'm expecting at least a couple of those of servers that are completely dedicated to recreating those experiences, especially with
Yeah.
more of these maps that are going to be released over time. We're getting 6 of those remade maps at launch, and I saw a roadmap, so to speak, of them planning on releasing more of those fan favorite maps, which I know fan favorite is so subjective. I don't know anybody that said, "Oh, El Amiens is my fan favorite map." Uh,
I
I
mean, back 20 years ago, probably,
maybe,
but
maybe it speaks to the age of the player. I don't know. But I can imagine that's being extremely popular, especially with like all the tools that are left, where there are servers run by people whose like favorite game was like Battlefield Bad Company 2, where they create a faithful adaptation of that game, and then the more content that gets released in all these season passes. I don't know if they're going to continue to like hyper focus on 1942 and then Battlefield Bad Company 2 and then Battlefield 3. Um,
for
I,
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to see, but I genuinely think that there's going to be so many, like at least I would say like maybe 5 or 6 like popular servers that are just dedicated to recreating the experience of those games.
Yeah.
That's really just going to, and I think that's incredible. That you can replay some of those maps and regain that nostalgia and that feeling that some of us we play these games growing up. There's like a huge like nostalgia and heartwarming factor to this. Being able to say, man, I can go back and play like No Shark Canals in a remastered setting,
Yeah, that's what everybody
just the way that
wanted.
I remember it. Just the way I remember it. Well, obviously not the way that I remember it, because hell, I was playing on 10 hertz servers with aim assist, but um
It is what it
that
is.
that that being said, no, I think that, and especially you were talking earlier about your theory about this whole experience being named Battlefield, right? For me, it just kind of touches homes on all the the leaks that we had, through the years, whether that was between Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 5, like the down season, and then the down season between Battlefield 5 and now, where there's rumors of like, oh, they're doing a Battlefield 3 remastered. Oh, there's a Battlefield Bad Company 2 remastered, or the next game's going to be Battlefield Bad Company 3. For me, like this Portal is a culmination of all of those kind of leaks together, where we're getting all this remastered stuff, and it's really just it's blatant fan service, but I think it's deserved fan service. For me, this entire Portal system is just a gigantic handwritten apology for the last 3 years of
Yeah.
disappointment.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I'm glad they're recognizing that
yeah,
and that they're owning up to, their obvious mistakes, which we try to yell and scream at them as to don't tear the communities away. Why you do this? For immersion? Stop.
yeah,
Go away. Like people want their communities back, man. I had
hmm
whole clans that had separated or don't exist anymore because they took the community tools away. Very sad. But anyway, other things you can modify in this little system here in the builder, the Build the Bear website here. You can change the bullet velocity on specific weapons if you wanted to. You can make. We'll go through our modes that we wanted to make later on down the line. Bullet velocity is definitely going to be something people are going to tinker with. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, you could change headshot multipliers, possibly add armor for like a specific mode. We saw something like that in the reveal trailer. There's a little armor icon. Maybe there's something there that we can utilize. You can randomize loadouts after death, apparently, and you can customize those using the logic editor.
Ooh,
Yeah,
kind of
so
cool. Kind of
that's
reminds me of like the Gulag from Warzone. You just get a random
that's right.
set every single time you go into the Gulag. That
Yeah,
could actually be kind of
randomizer.
cool.
Yeah, so it's a
Yeah.
randomizer. You can add that for your team deathmatch, or you can set it via their gun master game mode that they'll have on there as well, where you can go through the order of the weapons you want, and you can do that all in the logic editor there.
Mhm.
I'm sure there'll be limits, but of course, you can have specific weapons, such as you can limit what kind of weapons you want on your server. So no more shotguns if you don't want those. You can limit the amount of specialists. You can add all of them if you wanted, or you can just have one. I have an idea for that one. In my one of my game modes, you can limit weather if you want weather, like the tornado. You can probably turn that off. Specific types of gadgets like rocket launchers, you can take those off, and the amount of players you can have, and good old AI soldiers. I'll try not to piss anyone off at Dice. AI soldiers. Yes, you can add those to fill up your server. And I have some questions about those, which we'll get into soon. So, anything else that you picked up, Catalyst or chat, that you can possibly modify in your Build the Bear server here?
I think we covered all the main ones. I'm sure that there are some small things that have probably like slipped through the cracks that we're not going to be able to see until we actually get our hands on it.
Sure.
I'm interested about spectator mode and
Ah,
how
yes.
that will play into everything. Um, if spectator mode will be, I'm assuming it will
Mm-hmm.
be available for these portal servers, but um, how is spectator going to handle all of that? Um, as well as like some more simple things like how specific can we get? Like, are we just toggling on and off like a group of weapons, or can we manually go through the list and say, okay, STG 44, yes, Thompson, no, uh, M416, yes, and literally just go through the list. Like, how extensive is it? Because
Well, I
we're
guess we'll find
talking
out. Yeah.
there's like a lot of big picture stuff, but if some of the little small things that are going to be not available, that's going to kind of like drag down the experience a little bit. But no, I think you and your little list, you hit on a lot of it.
Hey, it's a big list.
Yeah, it's a big list. Stuff like time to kill, bullet velocity, armor. I could definitely see a scenario in which it's like maybe 15 people against like 5 players and a VIP, so 15 versus
Yeah.
6, and those 5 players get like extra armor, like a juggernaut mode, kind of protect the president kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like that. For me, a lot of the fun of it is the speculation, and as we kind of like start off this whole show, like I'm a creative person. Like I enjoy creativity. I enjoy seeing what other people make, and I think this could be really cool for not only um, some photographers and everything. Like if spectator is going to be a big thing, like people like Wrath of Bill, who shout out to Wrath of Bill. He makes really good. He takes really good photos from this the spectator suite, and I've been using his photos for thumbnails for years now, and they're always fantastic. But if you want to be like super creative, it just balloons open the possibilities. And I think if this is done correctly, like this could be something that lasts well far beyond like Battlefield 2042. This could be something that could be
Especially if
expanded
they keep
on.
adding stuff. They keep
Yeah,
adding
exactly.
more
I
and
mean,
more from past
you can
battlefields.
you can even do something like they did with Battlefield 1 Incursions, where they legitimately make a separate game file, like a completely separate
You think Portal will be separate?
No, I don't think Portal will be separate. I think the initial experience will be part of Battlefield 2042 because that's the main selling point, right? This is all part of the main package. But I'm talking about like maybe in 3 or 4 years they would pull Portal from 2042 and put it into its own separate entity where it's legitimately a separate experience where you have all this customization as part of a separate I guess setup, a game setup, I suppose. Kind of like how
Okay.
they did with Incursions, where Incursions they just took the CTE, they took the Battlefield 1 CTE and turned it into Incursions and made it its own separate download, so to speak. It's kind of
All
what I'm
right.
getting at.
So we have a couple questions here in chat that I wanted to go over. First, let's go to Baka Baka. Should DICE put more effort to creating tutorials for new players to learn how to play Battlefield, especially vehicles? Absolutely, they are going to do that. And they mentioned that multiple times that there will be options right off the bat where when you launch the game, you can do co-op, you can do whatever you want with AI bots to go over and learn the different game modes and whatnot. I think they'll have something there for new players to mess around with the AI soldiers, excuse me, and get to know the game better that way, and then have enough courage to drop into a multiplayer scenario. So yeah, I don't know about if they're going to create tutorials, but they definitely have already for Battlefield 5. You had a narrator kind of go through how it works. Maybe they might bring that back again the first time you launch the game, or launch the game experience. And I'm sure they'll have those all over the place. It really looks like they're going to really try to explain what's going on, because Battlefield veterans just get it, right? But new players just, huh? Whoa,
It's
wait, I
it's an
gotta do
overwhelming
this?
experience, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot. That's what makes this game so good, is that it's pretty in depth. So yeah, I really do think they're already putting in tons of effort into creating tutorials and whatnot. Um, there's another question here from Cards. Are we gonna have all the guns from those previous titles? Because I saw a list of handful, a few of them, but are we gonna get more weapons from said tiles like down the line as the seasons go on? What do you think about those Cards? I mean, I mean Catalyst. Sorry.
Uh, I think that they will more than likely, unless there's specific requests from players, I think they'll mostly stick to new game modes and maps for DLC for the DLC for these Portal games. I'm assuming we're talking about like 2042, or excuse me, not 24, 1942 and Bad Company 2 and all the ones that are specifically part of the Portal. Uh, I feel like at some point it'll be very difficult for them to balance that amount of weapons. I would assume it would be difficult to do that. Which is why I say like maybe if there's like a fan favorite that they're like, oh yeah, like
They'll just
let's
be
go get the
reskins or something, you
yeah
think?
yeah like let's go get the railgun or something like insane, and they'll plop it in. But I think overall I think they'll probably stick to maps, gadgets, and
It does,
yeah,
yeah. It doesn't seem like Ripple Effect is just nonchalant about adding new thing. I think they got certain things just planned out. When it comes to like certain gun balance, some I've heard some things that they don't really they it's purposefully unbalanced, but one of the developers from Ripple Effects said that there are options to where you can make them on par, or that they're just
yeah,
standardly on par with everything else. If you notice and you read all the stuff they have on the main website here, I'll show you guys. Um, they mention a lot of things about we are taking things into consideration about balance and whatnot. There's a whole briefing that goes over. They mention the word balance, I think, a couple times in here. Let me see if I could do a. Yeah. Creating much balance or chaos or hard desire. Okay, well maybe not this one, but there was another article that they had where they involved the word balance quite a bit in their marketing stuff. I think it was like one. It's in one of these latest news ones here. I think it's like one of these two that has it on there. But yeah, you get the idea. Like they're not just ignoring stuff like I don't think they're just gonna start throwing in stuff and then see what happens. Kind of like
yeah.
what
I don't
happened
think
with
that.
like Call of Duty when they released the new Black Ops game. They had a new gun going to Warzone and are like, okay, have fun. They didn't even think about testing it or balancing it. I don't think they're gonna do that, but that's definitely a possibility for sure.
Yeah, I don't. I really don't think that this is a situation where it's just like a kitchen sink where they're literally take just like a pile of weapons and just dump it into the portal. Um, I think it's got to
Could,
be a
but
little
yeah,
bit more methodical than that. I mean, they could. I mean, maybe I should walk that back because if this, I guess it really depends on what they really want this vision of Portal to be. Do they want it to be a more
true.
organized experience where there are a ton of options, but it's not completely endless for the sake of like uh storage, the amount of gigabytes the file is. Like we don't want like a massive, super massive file here.
Oh,
So
right, right.
do they want like a more organized, like I'm not trying to have like a 300 gigabyte game dice, like I'm sorry. That's going to take up like 3/4 of the space on my computer. Um or do they want to be like a truly endless and imaginative experience where they can just like kitchen sink it over and dump everything in and say, okay, here's new toys from the toy box. Like, have at it, have fun, knock yourself out. It's like babysitting, I guess. Like, I guess it really just depends on
It'll be a main
what
focus
exactly.
for sure.
Yeah,
We'll be
it
watching
depends
it.
on the vision. Yeah.
Another question here: can we adjust infantry vehicle balance? Absolutely. You can
Yes.
have no vehicles at all. You can have
Mhm.
only helicopters, which they showed in one of the videos. There, you can customize all that stuff. But yeah, let's see what else you guys got here. What are your concerns or thoughts on specialist meta, and will it turn into a war zone scenario where only certain specific ops and certain skins based on sight lines? Oh yeah, right. What was that called? That stupid rose skin or something, right?
Oh,
Or
I
you
don't
just
play Warzone. I've got
yeah,
no
I think
idea.
the rose skin or something was like virtually made you invisible in certain aspects. But anyway, let's see. Will certain skins based on size maps or smaller hitboxes are chosen? Yeah, I that'll be a thing they will be looking at like straight after launch. What's if metas are getting out of control? They said multiple times in interviews that they are going to be monitoring player feedback on if there's just shit is completely overpowered. But they say that every game. They say that all the time, and it takes them forever to fix anything. And that's just going off of what happened in Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5. Let's see
Yeah.
how they approach that this time. Will they still take a month and a half to have a patch come out to address an issue? Probably. Like way more than probably.
Yeah.
So you just gotta be vigilant. You gotta hold them accountable. Hey man, like this shit, you didn't test this. Like this is absolutely ruining every single server, especially in all-out warfare where we can't control anything in there. That's not a good thing. So they're gonna have to really show up this game, because if they're gonna keep showing up like they did in BF5, this is gonna be a complete disaster. And I don't think EA is gonna even remotely allow that. What do you
No,
think about this?
I think when it comes to meta, like Tombstone's asking about, I think based on what we've seen so far, I think the thing to be worried about is the McKay specialist with the grappling hook, because good players take a look at that, and I
Okay,
look at
yeah,
that and I say, "Ooh, movement, outplay, mechanics." Like it just starts tingling the neurons where it's just like, man, that's like actually. I don't want to necessarily throw around throw around the word skill based, but I'm taking a look at that and saying like movement in Battlefield can be really important sometimes.
yeah,
And especially if you take a look at the polar opposite, where it's like at the end of Battlefield 1, where they basically nerfed the slide into nothing and there's no movement or no outplay in gunfights. I'm going to take a look at that and say any player on the higher skill floor or elite player is going to take a look at that and say, wow, like the movement is going to be insane. Also, the health specialist, health is always important. Medic is always super important in Battlefield. It's a goat. If you're not playing sniper, I feel like a lot of people either gravitate towards sniper or towards medic because of the health buffs.
yeah.
um but it's when it comes to like cosmetic skins, uh I think there's not necessarily going to be a meta like Tombstone's asking about, but I would worry about readability when it comes to saying, okay, how are we going to be able to determine what cosmetics are on what specialists, and how are we going to be able to read and react to that information? Like, are we going to be able to tell that that's uh, uh, a sun dancer? Is that the name?
Sundance. Yeah,
Something like that?
the
The
one with the
wingsuit specialist?
wingsuits. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
how are we going to be able to interpret and read that information and say, "Okay, that's Sundance, and he or she is using a sniper rifle, which means that I can engage at this distance,"
I
and
think they said no. They said no, right? It was all UI based. Like
well, it
Doritos
comes into
again,
3D
right?
spotting. Yeah, well, I think it's gonna be a mix of Battlefield 4 and Battlefield, 5 spotting,
Yeah.
where you're going to appear on the minimap, and then you're going to be able to understand,
Because
but I
otherwise, how
mean,
are you going to get customization to work?
right,
Uh,
exactly.
I mean, your specialist can look. You have two specialists. They're same exact, but they look entirely different.
Mhm.
Like that's people want that. Whether you,
Right.
I mean, people like customization and whatnot. I mean, if you have
As
like, yeah, if you have The Witcher, right? Geralt, you have them side by side. One has crazy armor on him, the other one doesn't. He's still Geralt though. You know what I'm saying? It's people
yeah.
like customization.
I don't know. I'm not so worried about that. I mean, as
Yeah,
long as
me
it's
neither.
not
Yeah.
like that Halloween skin where it was just fundamentally broken
Well, I
and
mean
you
that's the
just couldn't
thing.
shoot.
This is a World War II game. Like, what is this
Yeah, yeah.
nonsense? That's the problem. I
Well,
don't think they'll have that problem this time.
not even just like the lack of authenticity. I'm talking about the fact that it just straight up no-regged bullets and it was broken.
Oh, I see
And
what you mean. I see what you mean.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
like, as long as there is no cosmetic that breaks the game like that, I have faith that, DICE is pretty consistent in the hitboxes, like, there's no difference between, the male skin and the female skin in terms of, like, hit rate and hit reg or anything,
Oh,
so
yes,
I
yes, yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm pretty sure that that will be fine. That's not something that I'm too
We got to
worried
be
about.
vigilant. Hey, Gallus,
Yeah.
Battlefield 5 existed, okay, man? We got
Yes.
to stay vigilant on that. And hey, don't forget that the new cosmetics that came out, they even blocked your line of sight. Remember that? Where the little leaves got in your way and they're like, "Oh, we'll fix it in like a month." And it was such like a dirty fix, dude. It
I'm
was
cautiously positive. Cautiously
careful.
positive. Hey, look, if it bites me in my ass, it bites me in my ass, okay? But as far as yeah, if
All
we're
right.
talking about meta and specialists, I think McKay is gonna be super meta, and when it comes to cosmetics, I'm not worried about it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll look at that coming up here soon. Okay, we got another question here. Gubritoa, do you think it'll be bigger than COD Warzone, especially for streamers? Well, I
I
would
have a quick answer to
say
this.
I don't know. Okay, what's your quick answer then?
My quick answer is no, because there is no established competitive scene in Battlefield. And I know, it's going to be like, well, yeah, here Catalyst goes ranting about competitive again. But if you take a look at all the major FPS games that are very popular on Twitch, especially for streaming, there is some kind of established competitive scene, whether that's COD competitive, where they actually have a league, or it's Overwatch, or it's Rainbow Six, and even Warzone has some
Or
type of level of
Apex?
competitive, or Apex, yeah. Battlefield just doesn't have that. And the reality of it is that competition equals engagement. If there's competition and there's, people are just naturally drawn to that. Just like we watch sports every day, like from our couches on Sunday, we are drawn to that competition. Battlefield doesn't have that. So even if the game might perform well, um, on Twitch or on YouTube, like Battlefield 1 performed well on Twitch and YouTube, and it did for a long while, but because there's not that competition there, it's going to taper off. And people are, well, obviously, I hope that the game is successful, and I hope that, everybody in the community who streams the game are going to have, great views and everything. But I don't think it'll be bigger than COD Warzone until Battlefield develops some kind of competitive and it's or ranked mode, or something along those lines, because competition equals higher
Yeah.
interest, because it's just kind of
Well,
naturally how we work as humans.
we'll get into competition a little bit later, where it involves
Yeah,
Portal and Hazard Zone.
right.
Might scratch that itch. It looks like they might go full ham on Hazard Zone being their new what was this stupid game mode that they made? Incursions. It
Mhm.
might be their own incursions or their new take on battle royale.
I think
Maybe
I
that's
think what it
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
is have you there's this dirty bomb game mode in Call of Duty.
Dirty
Have you
Bomb.
heard
Yeah,
about that, Julian?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I've seen
based
people
on
play it.
just, like, word association and what they're kind of making it out to be, I would not be surprised if it's the DICE take on the dirty bomb game mode, where there is some type of extraction of some kind of nuclear material, or, maybe it could be like a squad obliteration type of thing, but on a grander scale, who knows? But I think if I'm and, Energized Knight, and I have had conversations about
He
this, and he
played.
feels
That's
the
the
same
person
way.
I watched play it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so, I mean, based on word association, I would think that that would be my best guess as to what it is. Obviously, they've for some reason, that's the one that they've kept close to the chest, which is weird to me, um, but yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on here. Some other topics. Hey, thanks for bringing in all the questions. We're
Thanks, guys.
glad to answer as many as we possibly can. It's gonna be probably gonna be a long ass show, like all my Battlefield shows are. I mean, our record is like what 5 hours with someone. I don't remember. We could
I
talk
don't
for
know if we could go
days,
5
baby.
hours, but oh, I
It's,
know you
eh,
and I could talk for 5 hours, but I don't know if our voices are gonna be able to talk for 5 hours,
no,
and I know
no, I
people
don't think so.
it's a Sunday, people have got work tomorrow, so
Yeah. Vile Nuclear brought up a question here. This is what is going to happen. They will introduce an unbalanced weapon, the meta, yeah. And they will introduce a $20 skin which will shine like bright light or some shit. They will bank from it and then they will nerf it. Warzone probably made millions from it. Is that how they did that? Is that what the scheme is? Put in
the
blatantly
scheme.
overpowered, untested weapons, and then kind of try to bank on it. Yeah, I could see people do that for sure. But I don't know. Like, just point them out. Just point them out, Vile. Yeah. But yeah, I think they're gonna go ham on customization, and they're gonna start selling the crap out because there's gonna be paid tiers for the live service. You'll get the free ones, but you're not gonna like anything in the free ones. Um, but yeah, if you play your ass off, maybe you can get some of those cool skins. But yeah, most will just buy the whole entire tier list or whatever the hell they're gonna have. I don't know. But let's see if there's any other questions here. Please use the channel points too, so I can pick them out pretty quickly. I should have added the highlight thing on there. Highlight
Oh, yeah, the redeem a message or something like that, right?
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
you can just redeem it through channel points so I can see it. But I'm not noticing any other questions here. Maybe I missed somebody. Anyway, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let's just move on here to some Portal game modes. Now, Dice will have their own preset game modes right at launch that we can mess around with. And I think that's really cool. That goes and answers that tutorial question. People can take those presets and kind of work with it. So that's going to be there for you guys. I don't know how many they're going to have. It sounded like it was over 10, but I don't know. Who knows? But these are the current modes that I can think of that you can start messing around with as a basis. Because I think it'll be a drop down menu and you can choose what game mode and they'll just add more later on down the line. But here's some that I found. Conquest, obviously. Rush. I don't know about regular Conquest. Maybe Catalyst?
They said that it had the option for 60. So they said a couple of things. They said they could do like bubble maps where you can like cut off the section of the map and just have the map take place in that. They also said that you can
Yeah,
mess with the player
bubbles.
size, either 128 or 64, but PlayStation 4 and Xbox One will be locked to 64, if I remember it correctly. So you do have the option to make like a regular conquest, like a non 108 player gimmick conquest version of all these maps.
Yeah,
Because I'm assuming that the Battlefield 2042 maps are going to also be involved in the portal as well.
they will.
I think,
Yeah, they
yeah,
will.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Okay, good. So you'll have regular Conquest and then 2042 Conquest.
right,
Rush, Breakthrough, TDM. You can also make tons of custom game modes for TDM. Don't forget that. You can make tons of different team versus team stuff. You have
you know what I kind of
Yeah, go
hope
for
that
it.
they do. Sorry, I kind of so in that whole interview that the guy did with Jack Frags, he was really emphasizing like listening to the community. Remember how they did like the community maps in Battlefield 4? What was the name of that? It was Operation something. It took place in that jungle.
You mean
I
Battlefield
was
4? Oh, Battlefield 4. I forget the name of it.
maybe somebody Operation Outbreak.
Outbreak.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, good
What
job,
if they
Baka
are?
Baka.
You know, what would be really cool if they are really in tune with the community. They can take like either a content creator, like say, okay, Julian, it's your week to create a game mode. Show us what you got, and you will like create a featured game mode that they'll put like
Yeah, they said
specific
that.
servers on.
They said
Do
that
they already say that they're going to do that?
yeah, they said in the EA Play that they're going to showcase popular game modes. Now they
Let's go.
may, yeah, so they're going to
Oh,
do that.
I
That's
must have
already
missed
said
that.
that.
I
Yeah,
must have
it was
missed
an
that.
EA Play. EA Play.
But they definitely should go with that and run with it. I think saying, "Hey, this server is like getting a lot of traction,"
Yeah.
or like this week is your big brother Steve server, or next week it's Flackfire server.
I don't know about
Uh,
that, but yeah,
well,
I mean, they'll just like I don't know what Ripple Effect's gonna do, or how they will showcase different game modes or trending. Maybe they'll have a trending button. I don't know. I don't know if I like that, but
I don't
we'll
know.
we'll see how they implement it. Coming up
Just
soon.
just as a just
But
as
yeah,
a
that'd be really
way
cool.
just as a way to cycle content and keep everything fresh because
Yeah,
there could be some Andy that made like a weird server that's not getting a lot of traction, but could be like a really cool idea. Um, who knows? But if they already announced that, then I don't know. I must have missed that. They're way ahead of me. I think that would be so
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
But
I totally think they're
you
doing
were
that.
you were
Yeah.
about to name off some stuff. So
Yeah, so we got that so the TDM, the free for all, which you can make some wild stuff out of that. Especially with the logic system. You got Gun Game, or how they like to call it Gun Master, from BF3 and all that. I'm gonna make one of those. It's gonna be really fun. Hopefully, it'll be super popular. But anyway, Gun Game's like one of my favorite game modes too. VIP, you got that as well. And maybe everything else is kind of we're not sure yet. There's someone said there could be some sort of zombie mode of some kind, but I don't even know if that's actually a thing you can do yet. But
maybe
they said it'll be flexible.
like a Michael Myers type of game mode. I don't know. Where there's like one person hunting down everybody, and then that person joins the enemy team, and or what
What's that
the
game
infected game
called?
mode from Call of Duty, the infected game mode. It's like
Yeah, infected. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if
Maybe they'll have that.
infected, Michael Myers, some or the other.
But the fact that they are saying that they're gonna listen to feedback on what's cool, what's not, right? And then
Mm.
they'll be introducing, as the live service progresses, possibly adding new game modes, presets that you can have. Man, I think Titan mode preset would be kind of out there. Maybe that'll get to that 300 gigabyte file size, but that'll be very interesting if they can incorporate a customizable Titan mode. Would be kind of insane. I don't know if they can possibly do that, but who knows? They can add a
I
whole
thought
bunch of
about
different
that.
game modes.
I thought about them making a Titan mode of some kind where uh
When they
at the end
introduce 2042,
there's like an objective that you need to
2142.
storm at the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, when they introduce remaster 2142 maps, there you go. Maybe we'll
Do you
get
think they'll do that? Do you think they'll just go through every single game up until Battlefield
Yo,
2042
man,
and say we're gonna pull stuff? Like,
I think they're gonna go through almost every game.
I
Really,
think so.
I if it's popular, shit. Like
I think I, I think just from a fundamental standpoint, it'll be popular. I it just
BF1 maps, I think they're gonna add in
yeah.
there.
Give
Yeah.
players and communities the ability to make it, and they will make it. Like, that is something that has been preached and something that has
Oh,
just
level
not
editor.
gotten through. Yeah, that's
That's a
something that's
big
been preached
no-no for
constantly,
EA. No, 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 no.
and it does not get through their heads, so,
Yeah, there
I
must be
hope
some sort of weird legal reason. Maybe it comes down to like mods and shit. Remember in what Steam went through with Skyrim modding communities and how they had to control it
yeah.
from Bethesda. Bethesda wanted to take control and make all the sweet monies from all that. Maybe they just don't want to get into that situation, or maybe they're just being a bunch of pusses and not going for it. I don't know. There maybe, I'm guessing, some kind of legal reason.
There's probably some financial incentive. I mean, this is probably the biggest
Yeah, financial
FPS
reason.
game. This is one of the bigger FPS games to come out in a few years. You know, uh, Cold War was a bust. Modern Warfare 2019 was controversial at best. You know, there has not been a solid like FPS game in a long time, and if done right, this game could be that. It's an important launch, not only for the franchise, but I think for fans of first person shooters
And
in general.
starting off with Portal is just that love letter tag that they had on there. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, basically. Yeah.
it's a haymaker. Like this, like I said, I see Battlefield 2042 and the Portal as a gigantic apology letter from Dice
Yeah.
for the last 3 years. Not only are we getting an updated modern shooter with sure, say what you want about the 128 player gimmick. I certainly have my concerns about it, but it's bigger and better. They're clearly playing off our nostalgia. Ronda Zook and
Yeah, it's all
launching
over it.
launching cars into planes, and it's very much a like, okay, yeah, our bad. Let's try and give you an experience in which you can reminisce in.
One of the biggest complaints, man. It's like,
Yeah,
where's all the community stuff? Where's my double XP events? Who knows if they
yeah.
even have the
It's
tech for that? We'll see.
some of that is a little wah wah, but definitely, I guess it's good to know that it hasn't fallen completely on deaf ears.
Yeah, like I said, but it just naturally happened because it was available for them to do that,
Mhm.
and all that was stripped away. So let's see if they bring that back. But anyway, let's move along here. I wanted to discuss the or even make a comparison between Portal and community games, the way it is now. Okay, so this is a very important thing because if they just copy pasta and add the logistics system, not good enough. And I'll tell you why right now. Let's compare the Battlefield community system. Okay, here let's just imaginary dive into Battlefield 5 and open the game up, Callus. Me and you. Okay, can you
Okay.
imagine it? Chat,
Yep,
just put it in your
I
head
do it.
right now. You're
I still
starting
do
the
it.
game, you're clicking the game, and then you go to what? Fucking play, then you go to advanced game or advanced search or whatever, which is the server browser. Do you see any community games on there?
Nope.
Why? Can you answer that, Catalyst or chat? Why don't you see and here in the US at least, West Coast, East Coast, why aren't community games flourishing and saving the game?
Do, do you want me or chat to answer that? Because it's a horseshit system. Yes. Well,
Yay!
it's so bare bones and so half-assed and not very well thought through. I mean, the fact like you see it in the very root of the design too. Like you can ban certain weapon types, but not certain weapons. And I don't know if that's tech limiting, but just like that as an example, it it
All right.
it's such a it's such an undercooked experience and so disappointing in so many ways that
Yes.
and it's confusing too. It's confusing to set up and run properly. So I think most players just say, "Fuck it, I'm not going to waste my time. There's no point."
Yeah. Um. Okay. So we got that in the U.S. Let's go across the ocean to OCE, where they only have that, right? Because there's literally not enough people there to fill up Dice official servers, and they can't escape all the cheaters from like Asian countries or whatever is more popular for hackers to just prosper everywhere in Battlefield right now. So they make their own, right? Um, when you have little to no player base and all you got are the community servers, it's not going to matter. You're still going to have a bad experience. You're going to have the downsides to custom games as to like having badmins. Ever heard of badmins before? You can
Hmm.
get banned from all those and you just can't play the game. And That's a huge issue with the current community games, is that there's just not enough tools. There's not enough players. You got a crap game, you're gonna have no player base, right? So let's imagine 2042 is out, and we're ready to start up Portal, and we're gonna make our game mode, right? Let's start off with the presets. That'll be super quick, right? Get a preset one, launch it, and then have people join your server. I'm sure day one, you're gonna have some popping servers. You can make one. I swear, you're nobody. You can make a server preset one. It's probably gonna fill up. No
Yeah.
cap, no capitan. It's gonna be filling up quickly because this whole stigma with cheaters and whatnot. You might be able to maybe get away from that by trying this portal to where it's not the standard mode where all the cheaters are at. But we don't know yet because that might take some time for cheaters to come in and start ruining people's experiences. So, but let's just imagine you're let's just imagine it's just like Battlefield 5's community games. You only have one admin, right? You can't add multiple admins or anything like that. How are you going to
Right.
control like people coming in randomly and start messing with your server? Like, what about team stackers that you want to balance out? Do you have the tools for that? Do you have a team switcher? I guess we'll find out. But take a look at this. This is the community experience. I know this is kind of small on your screen. I'll kind of zoom in here a little bit. Um, if you look in, I typed in the word basic. Yes, I typed in the word basic. This is what they said here. This is kind of concerning to me here. Community experiences are created when you make a match and will remain online while experience has active players, which is very identical to what we have right now in community games on BF5. At launch, you can also expect basic admin tools usable by creators of the experiences, such as the ability to ban usernames, which continue across experiences you create. Now, this is kind of concerning for me because this seems almost identical to what we have right now, Catalyst. Uh,
Yeah.
did you have any a comment on what they mean by basic admin tools? Because that sounds exactly like what we have now.
The one thing that I think is a big talking point is, are your bans going to be permanent? Because in the community system in Battlefield 5, even to say, like, say you're a good admin, right? And
Yeah,
you have an effective server, your server isn't always going to stay up, right? Because it basically goes away when not only you leave. I don't know if it goes away if you leave the server, but
someone said it resets. It resets
yeah,
again.
and as soon as you dip below that minimum player count, which I think on most cases is 4 players total, so 2 on each side. As soon as you dip below that player count and nobody's playing, your server can shut down. And as soon as that server can shut down, every single person that you banned or kicked in the previous iteration of that server can come back. So there's no permanent ban on
Oh,
the servers that you have. Uh, yeah,
but now it
there's
says here it's going to continue across
right,
all experiences you create.
right. So,
Is that a
it's not
weird play on words or?
I don't know. It depends on whether or not they have the technology, or whether they've said, okay, we're just going to give you permanent ban tools. And it seems like they're going to do that with the ban the username, and that will go and continue across experiences that you create. So as long as the ban list doesn't reset, I think that's already a huge step forward.
Okay,
Because even if you have, a successful server, keeping it clean for the long term is going to be super important.
yeah,
Um, I will agree with you, and I definitely share some of your concern as to how Dice is going to mitigate this, and how badmins are going to be handled and treated by the company, and how extensive these admin tools are. Are there going to be abilities to switch to make players switch teams? Because I don't even think there's the ability to switch teams to
we don't
force
know
switch a
yet.
player.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
don't
don't.
know yet.
I don't. Well, I definitely know that there isn't in Battlefield 5. I don't think there is a community game setting that which you can force players over. But it's like, um, I, I would choose to believe right now that the wording is just as basic and third grade level as you can make it to help people understand what the feature is. Because I mean, something that I've learned in my career outside of playing video game like career, but like in my job as a writer, is that most people only read at a third grade level. So when you're trying to write a story about a football game, you shouldn't be using all your SAT words. You need to make sure that you're writing at a third grade level so it's very easy and digestible. So I wouldn't take this as saying that these features aren't going to be there. I'm saying that this is probably the easiest way that they can explain what feature is going to be there, and we won't be able to truly know what is there until we see the game.
So,
Um,
so Kaz, you
mhm,
remember when they released kind of like an article like that one? Um, I think it was like before community games came out. It was called
mhm,
private games. Remember that? In Battlefield 5, they call it private games for a little bit.
yeah.
And they had a whole article put out as to what the future of it will be like. Right? I don't have it with me here, but I'm sure I can find it at some point. If someone can find that article, that'd be great. If you can link it in the chat here, that would be really much appreciated. But it was called Private Games, and they had plans to have a tier system where you have the free one, right? And that's all they ended up releasing was a free one. And it looks like they're going to do the same here in 2042. But they also had paid tier ones that didn't really go into too much detail as to what those would add, like more tools or will your server be permanent? So I just want to get your guys' ideas off the chat and out Callus. How important is a permanent server that's always up regardless of how many players on it?
I think it's incredibly important, especially from just a visual feedback standpoint. If you go in and you see like absolutely no servers there available for you, what's your first inclination? Well, I'm just gonna go play All Out Warfare.
Yep,
I'm just gonna go play something else.
those are all
Uh,
permanent.
yeah, those are all permanent.
I think they are. I mean, they
Well,
set them up.
I'm assuming that there are going to be permanents,
Yeah,
permanent to a point. I think maybe we should say, uh, yeah, they should have, and I would encourage them to have permanent servers, even to give the illusion that there is activity, because where there's activity, it gives people the inspiration to create things and do stuff for other people. It's all about building the community, right? With that, if there are permanent servers up, regardless of how many people there, at least like the option is there, and as opposed to seeing nothing and saying, well, is this game dead? What's going on? I guess I'll go play something else. And the worst case scenario is saying, wow, there are no portal servers up. I'm just going to go play a completely different game entirely.
right.
So there's always benefit to having
Right. And we can't have
permanent
that. We
servers
can't have
up.
that for Portal. Portal, I think, is too important for the franchise, in my opinion. I think a user based, custom based servers that are out there to cater to everyone's needs. There's going to be popular ones, there are going to be less popular ones. But how it was like back in Battlefield 3 and 4 and even Battlefield 2, where you had custom servers like 24/7, no shark canals.
Hmm.
Is it 24/7? You can't put that if no one's going to be playing it and it just goes away. It'll be gone, right?
Right.
So if I hope they maybe implement that tier 1 where you can pay well however many a month to keep it up, to keep it going. I think they can make some easy cash off of that. What do you think, Kat?
Yeah, I think so too. Not only make cash off it, but with the promise of additional content, and that's obviously
Yeah, and that
you
too.
would hope you would hope they would deliver upon that. And that also like goes into the season pass system that they're doing, where there's a free tier and there's a paid tier. Um, whatever they make, if they have a tier system when it comes to creating servers.
Yep.
Uh, I guess it all falls under the terminology if you get out what you put into it. So I don't know if necessarily they want to go that route. But especially with the way I think the trust of the community stands with the developers at this point. Maybe they shouldn't do that because I mean the worst thing is saying, hey, it's going to cost you $5 to have a premium tier 1 server or whatever, and this will go towards making better Portal content, and then just having that not go anywhere except EA's pockets. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
so
Well, I
I
guess
don't
we'll
know.
see how it plays out. But I just hope they're flexible and ready to add these kind of things
Yeah.
going forward. We got a question here in chat. Did I miss your other one, Tombstone? Let me take a look here. I hope I didn't. Are you concerned? Oh, are you concerned that they seem to be doing the used car salesman approach to this game while they are showing us like the neat stereo, the rims, and showing us what's under the hood? Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's freaking EA marketing 101 right there. Show us all the bells and whistles. So show us the tornadoes, the full all-out warfare scale. Like that's just their selling points. Absolutely, they're gonna
Yeah.
take advantage of that. And what people are familiar with, like the wingsuit, um, zip lines. Like these are all selling points that people like. And
Yeah.
a follow up here
Not
to that
surprised.
is, yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Are they trying to have many moving parts with 2042? Oh yeah, maybe too many moving parts where they may not be able to control it, but we'll see. Seems like they're going to do a lot. Look at this, look at that, but how much will actually work? Well, I guess we'll find out, right? Probably not a lot. I think the performance is going to be atrocious at start, unless they do some really good testing
Yeah.
on it. But
I
I don't think
worry about the performance a lot.
performance is going to be
I
terrible. I think even on older gen consoles, I wouldn't even buy it. Don't do another Cyberpunk, guys. Really,
That's exactly what I was thinking.
just
Like,
don't
I don't know if I
don't
want to
buy it on
create a
them.
hex. I don't know if I want to create a hex on the old version, the old console version of the game, but I just feel like it has the potential to be complete like cyberpunk meme territory
Yeah,
where it
imagine
just
the tornado on the 64 player. Like
bro,
it's gonna
I got a
crash.
pretty decent computer and I'm worried about that tornado crashing my rig. Like I'm straight up honest.
Exactly.
Like I cannot wait for
Exactly.
that random tornado to come through the map and drop, my frames from a cool like 130 to 55 and on a and have all of that technology work on a 30 hertz server. Technology that they spent 3 years on. It's like, yeah, fantastic, great. You just crashed my game. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be a huge concern. They just gotta nail it. They gotta make sure all that is streamlined. Stress test the shit out of it in the beta, because that's what the betas are for. Is to stress test connection issues. Especially
Mhm.
now that they got crossplay, they're gonna do an alpha on all crossplay connections.
Yeah,
So hopefully that'll be successful.
This new Frostbite engine
If
is
it is a
got
new Frostbite engine, did they even say?
I think it's probably a new engine, but I
Yeah.
would imagine that this new engine has to be something super beefy. Otherwise, the performance
Yeah,
of
maybe
this
it is.
game is going to like I can absolutely imagine. Oh, it's the same engine. Ooh, yikes.
Whoa, do you know that? Where? Because I don't know. I was looking all around. I can't see that it's the same. Well, we know it's Frostbite engine. Is that what you mean? But we don't know it's
Yeah, I think it's
Frostbite
Frostbite 4.
4.
I think it's Frostbite 4.
I don't even know. Did they even mention Frostbite 4? Like,
I don't even know, dude.
I don't think they
But
did.
regardless, like
But yeah,
I
it's
don't
got to be
know.
beefy. Yeah, you're right. It's got to be
It's gotta be beefy.
hopefully easier
Like
to work with.
Wendy's, where's the beef type beefy, bro? Like
Yeah, we'll see. I like I said, be very wary about performance, and it's tough out there, man, because people can't get the best graphics cards or
yeah.
best CPUs. Um, I even worry about you can't even get PlayStation 5s. Those are hard to get. Maybe the Xboxes are a little more easier to get, but I don't
Yeah.
know. People are telling me a whole bunch of horror stories about that. So performance gonna be a
I
huge thing.
can I can absolutely see a reality. Like I'm Doctor Strange in Avengers Infinity War right now, sitting like on the rock, taking a look at like the different timelines. And I can absolutely see a timeline in which the 128 version of the game is so performance reliant and so unplayable that players are so reliant on the Battlefield portal because you can tune it back to 64 players and have the game run much better. So you can have all of those like Battlefield 2042 maps just played with 64 players and have a smoother experience. Like I can totally see like performance just totally just being apart from like overall balance, like that being the Achilles heel of this game.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, you got the freaking the trailer. Also, why I don't know why it's not playing here. Oh, there he goes. Um, but you had the gameplay trailer shows quite a bit of these weather interactions, such as a sandstorm coming in. But still, like, what do you think about the visuals after the sandstorm comes in? I mean, it looks like you can still see quite a bit compared to like other games or other previous titles, don't you think?
We're talking like graphical fidelity.
Like here, like where it turns like all red and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like over
Yeah, I'm
here,
trying
like
to.
you can
I'm
still
a little bit
see
behind because
things.
I'm watching through the Twitch VOD, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can see like this red. You can still see people, right?
right.
I don't know what you guys thought about it, but yeah,
I'm just worried about. I'm worried about two things in particular. I'm worried about the tick rate of the server,
yeah.
which involves BTK TTK hit registration, and I'm also worried about the smoothness of the experience when it comes to frames per second. Those are the two things that I'm mostly worried about. I'm going to be running this game on all low. I could tell you that for sure. I could care less how pretty this
Hello,
game
baby.
looks.
Oh,
I want a smooth experience on on servers that have a decent enough tick rate that I can not feel completely scammed like the Battlefield 5 Deluxe Edition. Uh, you know,
okay. All right.
that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, same here. Okay, so I had some other concerns and issues about Portal since we're still that's the main topic for tonight's show. Um, I asked here what will be popular in your portals or how would you entice people to join your server and keep it popular? What kind of game modes will be popular in Portal? And how about using AI soldiers in yours? Will it make it more popular or less popular? And how is that going to reflect on a server browser? Those are like the 3 points, but let's just start with what's going to be popular.
I think that Rush servers are going to be extremely popular. Rush is a game mode that's kind of been mistreated and forgotten, I don't even know, like a forgotten child almost. It's been completely forgotten and misused in Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, where Battlefield 5 Rush was just uh, a, a limited time game mode, and the servers and the maps that they implemented on was
Ah,
not so good to begin with. I think old school Rush is going to be extremely popular, especially among Battlefield veterans. So you have those servers like we talked about earlier, Julian, where it's going to be faithful adaptions of the previous game. So you're going to have a Battlefield Bad Company 2 server that plays exactly like that. Um,
okay,
you're
you
going
think
to
that would be
have a
pretty popular, huh?
if there's I would imagine that TDM, Battlefield 3, No Shark Canals, and depending on what they include later, like old versions of Rush, like Rush on Caspian Border, Rush in general, I think is gonna be pretty good.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me
and
know what you guys think on chat. Someone said grind. Battlefield 5's grind game mode. Isn't
I
that just
actually
small conquest, right?
that's actually on my list of game modes that I want to see.
Okay,
Uh,
we'll go over
spoiler
that.
alert. Yeah, we'll go over that later. But I think Grind was a heck of a lot of fun. Uh, but yeah, I want to talk Jesus come. I think Breakthrough is a better version of Rush. I would say they're two separate experiences. I think Breakthrough is um the small scale of Rush makes it different enough for me.
Okay, yeah.
And I find the intricacies of like strategic, like small squad gameplay to be a little bit more skillful at times, but I definitely like they're knocking on the two different sides of the same door, big versus small. I think I don't necessarily know that one is better than the other, but especially if you're like a new fan to the franchise, you might be saying like, oh yeah, like Breakthrough all the way. But for some of us veterans who've been playing since God knows which game, however many years, I think the calling for an authentic,
Yeah.
nostalgic Rush experience is going to be super popular.
Okay. Front lines. Okay,
Front
front
lines, yeah.
lines. We'll see if they bring that back. Haven't been announced yet, but we'll see. I mean, I think the least popular ones are obviously gonna be. If we let's talk about that. What are gonna be the least popular ones? I think the least for me is gonna be like tank superiority,
Oh yeah.
air superiority. Dude, those get even people who love that stuff. They put it down after like a week. I'm telling you, those types of servers die almost instantly, just from looking in the past. So yeah, stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe you might get lucky with people, but I think you're gonna need a little bit of a mix. The
Yeah.
meme ones like 20 EOD bots versus one tank. I think those will die out almost instantaneously. But maybe somebody can make something adaptive, like have a playlist of those would be pretty cool on separate maps. Like you'll have, the gadgets like the 20 EOD bots versus the tank. You have like one specific tank that has a bunch of health. Wait, can you? I don't think you could do that. Maybe you could. I'm not sure. But you can
I
just
think there's
mix it up
well,
all the
I don't know
time.
about health and armor, but I think damage is something that you can modify to artificially change that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Um. Yeah, that's interesting. Someone brought up MCOM placement. Can you change where the MCOMs go
Yeah.
in Rush in Portal?
That's something that I hope that they do, and I'll save that. I'll
Doo
save kind
doo.
of like my dream. Yeah, doo poo poo farted for humanity.
That would be really cool, though. If
Yeah.
you can do
No,
something like
I
that,
hope that that's something that we can do.
that would be huge. But then again, they say it's
And
not a level editor, but
yeah. No, I
uh,
agree with you. I think some of those, because the reality, I don't know about the exact statistics of this, but I imagine that like 65% of the player base is infantry, and then even less numbers for like tanks and planes. And I'm talking about like people that are maining those classes, right? So, the servers that are like 20v20 Tiger Tank on Battle of the Bulge, to me, that's going to be like oh, damn, that's kind of cool. Let me go play this like twice and then be like,
you get murdered like
yeah, that's
17
not, yeah, like,
times.
this is not exactly, I mean, it's kind of like, the shock and awe value of it, and then it's gonna be like, "Yeah, that was a fun experience." Kind of like riding a bad roller coaster. It looks kinda cool, you ride it, and it's like, "Damn, that was, like, a horrible ride. I'm good, I'm not gonna I
Yeah.
don't wanna try it again."
I think what made El Alamein, the 1942 maps, El Alamein and Battle of the Bulge, was that they were vehicle heavy, but not
Yeah,
vehicle only. You know,
right.
Battle of the
I
Bulge
just
was, it's such a simplistic map now looking at in the year 2021 right
yeah.
now. It's just like, man, there's just nothing there. So I'm very curious as to see how they remastered it to maybe accompany the new style gameplay we have now.
I just see Battle of
Yeah.
Bulge. Just see Battle of Bulge, and I just have Panzerstorm PTSD because I take a look at that and I just
Dude,
say,
you're not lying. No, it is
yeah.
like another Panzer Storm, especially El Alamein is it's just a desert map. There's really not much to it. But what made it fun is the vehicles. The vehicle, you can do some crazy stuff in that game with the vehicles, and that's what made it some of people's favorite. Is because you can get the big ass bomber, you can get plane action, you got tons of room
Yep.
to do that stuff. You can kill tanks and jeeps on the ground. There's not a lot of cover, but that's what made it fun to do that. There's rockets everywhere. It's just simplistic stuff. But now looking at now, I don't know. Like maybe it's not as cool. So let's see how they adapt to that by adding more cover and whatnot. I mean, they look beautiful too. The
I wonder if
screenshots they
there's
have.
like, okay, so like GTA 5 like has map editors, right? Like I wonder if there's some way to like make a ramp or something, and there's like this really cool GTA 5 like online game mode where it's like RPG versus Insurgent, where there's like 5 or 6 players with like RPGs, and then there's a bunch of like these heavily armored vehicles kind of like jumping off the ramps and like trying to squish the players. Like I don't there's like some like obscure like game mode type set. and again, it all comes back to the centralized point. Like, it depends on how much we can actually do and whether it's working or not. But um, yeah, Jesus already had that mode planned. Yeah, like it really depends on like how much they can, how much of an experience they really want to make this. Like, where do they draw the line in the sand and saying, okay, this is the amount of stuff that we want you to be able to do, but we're not exactly sure. Oh, I got a fly in my face. We're not exactly sure like how far we want you to take it yet. Is it truly boundless or is it like
Exactly.
organized?
I don't think it is at all. I don't think it's truly. I think it's heavily limited. I think we're gonna notice that right away, but doesn't mean it can't be limitless at the end of it.
It's
You know.
more than we thought that we were going to expect at the end of the day, regardless of
Exactly.
how much it is.
Once they revealed that logic system, I was like, "Holy shit, serious?" Like from Battlefield 5, like I can't believe that you had time to do this. Like it's just truly amazing. Even through the pandemic, they were able to make that. Maybe that was way easier than I thought it would be to give us those kind of tools, but I guess we'll find out. All right. So that's what will be popular. Callus says Rush will be super popular. Um, and I think the least popular ones will be the, you know, tank versus tank kind of superiority stuff. I think that'll fizzle out real quick. And all the meme ones, in my opinion, all the meme ones are just going to be for YouTube videos and then slowly drift away. But yeah, core gameplay is what's going to shine. And let's see if people start recognizing that quickly so I can hop into their server because that's what I'm going to do. The ones I'm
Yeah.
looking for me are gun game. I like going those every once in a while. I like all maps, conquests, like regular conquests. If I don't know which one I'll like more, the new conquests or not. For 128 players, probably take the new conquest for 128 players. But all maps. That's what I'm looking for. All maps, 24/7, regular or futuristic conquest. That's my go-to, so I can get the full experience of Battlefield. Um, I mean, I think that's the best way to get the full experience of Battlefield is by playing Conquest. Maybe even a little bit of Breakthrough, but sometimes that can get a little too insane for me for that. Anyway, let's talk about AI soldiers or
AI soldiers.
AI bots. Now in Portal, you can opt out of using bots, but in All Out Warfare, they made it crystal clear that you cannot opt out of bots. Um, the primary use in All Out Warfare are to make the AI soldiers are kind of like in the back end to help fill out your servers in All Out Warfare. You can also use them for good old Portal if you want. The question I have to everybody is when you open that damn server browser in both Portal and if there is a server browser in All Out Warfare, will bots be reflected on that at all? Will you know that there are bots in there? Will you know that there's no bots? Like, I think that's kind of important because right now, as we see it in server browser, you see real players, 64 out of 64, 64, right? And then you got in parentheses how many people are in line, like a server queue, right? That's it when you got to players. Now that you're adding bots in, are you going to have another set of like parentheses saying this many bots are in there and
Uh,
only show how many actual players? Because that's very inviting to see 128 versus 128. You click play, you hop in, and there's literally 16 real players versus 16 real players, and the rest are bots. I know there's a specific percentage of how many bots will actually show up, but over, I would say anything around 30% or over of bots in your server, I'm out. I'm out of there. Like, that's just false advertisement. And you see that a lot in Battlefield 4, where people are fake seeding their servers to make it look like it's full, but when you get in there, ain't nobody in there. So
yeah.
what's your take on that, Callus?
I think that bots are going to be there whether we like it or not. I'm obviously you have the option to turn off bots in the Portal game mode, but I don't specifically think that they're I mean, it's very, very possible that they could have like a separate parentheses, but I think that might from like a reading standpoint and a UI standpoint might be a little bit too cluttered. So I would be under the impression that you would kind of like Brett said in the chat, you would always kind of assume that bots are going to be there. And if you really are that anal about it, like saying like I really just want to be playing against like real people, like whatever have you, you would be going to the advanced information because even though the server browser, you got the little semicolon with the click down that says game info, and you look at it, and then you'll get to look at exactly what the server is set up as. And
Okay.
I would imagine that people have enough patience in them, and especially if they're looking for like a fun server, and there's only so much titleage or titleage. There's only so many characters that you can put in your title, right? Before it cuts itself off. So
Oh,
I would
sure, sure,
imagine
sure.
if people are going to be looking at your game mode that you're creating anyways, they're more than likely going to take a look at your server settings anyway. Um, Titleage is not a word. I just made that up. I have an I have an English degree, by the way.
Titillage? Oh, hey, a good title is very important for your server, okay?
Right,
People
right.
tried that. Look how unsuccessful, because you weren't really allowed a specific title in community games for Battlefield 5, right?
You were allowed a specific title, yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
were you
that's
were you were allowed to make a title.
yeah. Well, you can't, right? Still, you can't
No,
make a
you can
title.
make no, you can make a title. You've always been able to make a title.
Oh, I thought in the beginning it was only your username plus the number, and that was it, right? It was like
Um,
Janganoo hashtag one three
you know what?
five
You might be
eight.
right. You might be right. That might have been something that came later. But I know
Okay, okay,
currently you can add a title, but maybe not beforehand.
okay. Yeah, titles are very important. I hope they bring that into the portal.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, titles were not a thing because I remember playing competitive
Oh,
matches and we just went by the server number. So like instead of asking for like okay, which player is making the server, like okay, is GV Frantic making the server?
oh,
We
it
would just
still
take a look at the
is.
server number. But now
Yeah.
they added the feature where you can just name the community game whatever you want. So
I
that was
think
something
what
that
I think what Brett's saying is that people change their usernames to make the title. I don't know if that's still is that still a thing? Can you guys actually make? I haven't played Battlefield 5 in a year. I don't even like talking about it. But can you actually just make a community server and then change the title of it?
yep, you
Okay.
can now, but
Oh,
not previously.
you can title it. Okay, okay. I'm gonna join that one, Tommy Krieger. Let's go, baby. 24/7 shotguns. Like something like that will be very popular at launch. People are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, let's go!" Right? Um, but yeah, we'll see. I think it's gonna get. I think they're holding off the bread and butter maps for 24/7 game modes or Portal maps remakes. Man, they're gonna hit it huge when they release like the 24/7 underground lockers,
If they
all that
release
good
if
stuff.
they release Damavon Peak Rush 24/7 will be a thing, guaranteed.
Oh man,
Absolutely. Ah,
a
so
remastered
good.
Diamond Peak would be fucking awesome. I don't even do even that. This is such a beautiful map already.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be
Do you think that they're
very
doing that?
popular.
Do you think that they are saving some of, like, the heavier like? Because we already talked about it, like,
I don't
fan
know,
favorite
man.
is so subjective. Do you think that they're saving, like, the true do you think that, like, they're saving the true,
Dude,
like, fan favorite maps to come, like, later?
why not?
It
I mean, I kind of would. Like the ones that they chose here are just like marketing named maps. Like these are the names that got the most clicks out of these specific ones that we chose. Right? No Shark Canals is only popular because of the TDM. Right? Let's put that one in. The other one was what's the new Arca Harbor? It was one of the sales point. Hell, was it? Was it a beta map? I don't
I'm
remember,
sorry.
but it might have been a
Which
beta
one?
map from Bad Company 2.
Oh,
The Arca Harbor. Arca Harbor is the new
I was
remastered
playing
map.
back then.
Yeah, yeah. It was a beta for PS3. Yeah. So these are like like in your face modes, Caspian border in your face, like this is what we sold the game on. People recognize this stuff. They're going for like what's the most recognizable maps in these specific games that we chose. And that's obvious for 1942. Battle of the Bulge, LLMA are the most popular ones because they're the most recognized ones. It may not be
Right.
like the most popular across its lifetime, like something like Operation Lockers was. Um, but yeah, I think they're gonna hold. I think they're holding out for sure.
Because
But
like
it
I would
just
have,
seems so daunting how much work that must take to
yeah.
get those out in the next year. Like I don't even know how that's even possible. But let's
Personally
see.
for me, I probably would have picked Grand Bazaar over Caspian Border because they already did a remake of Caspian Border in Battlefield 4.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and
I
everyone
mean,
hated it too.
yeah, yeah, and that's the thing, and that's kind of something that I wanted to touch on. It's like, and that's like another huge question mark with the Portal. It's like, are these maps going to play as nostalgically as we remember? Like, are they going to play the same
Yeah,
with modern movement, with modern TTK, with modern scale and everything? Like, are they going to be able to fill the same crutch
I think
or
that's what
like
they're going for.
scratch? And I hope that they do, but it
Yeah,
doesn't. Obviously, we have plenty of examples, like to say that Battlefield 4
Metro.
Caspian Border was much worse than Battlefield 3 Caspian Border was because of, specific gameplay,
The
things that
dumb
were different.
wall.
Yeah, the
the,
dumb. Oh my god,
the
don't even get me
wall,
started
and
on the
then
wall.
the wall, and then the center map that had an underground, and
Yeah,
that stupid tower people can climb up. It just made everything
yeah,
hell over there. Yeah, you couldn't see anything too. But
yeah.
okay.
And I'm taking a look at their new Caspian Border, like every bush is more greener and fuller. I'm like, oh good. Time for more people to hide in bushes. Like I've got PTSD from Battlefield 5 hiding so bad, man. Like it's so
Yeah,
bad.
it
But like
looks
but
beautiful. I mean,
it
look at
looks so
the
good, but it's also like, are we like if the colors pop, that's fine, but are we gonna be able to see people? Like
well, I think they're
uh
relying more on the UI,
but
for
yeah,
sure.
it's are these maps going to be faithful to the original, and are they going to play the same, because we have multiple experiences and examples of maps that just don't play the same off of through multiple titles. And
Right. Well, we know Caspian Border in Battlefield 2042 Portal will be the one from Battlefield 3, not the one
right,
Battlefield 4. Okay, okay.
right,
Okay.
but some of the other things that we haven't seen before, like is Battlefield 2042's Erica Harbor going to be better or worse than Bad Company 2's? Things like we haven't seen yet, but I guess that's kind of just clenching at
It
straws until we
looks
actually try it
so
out.
close
It
to the
looks so
original.
close and looks so good, but
I
it's
think
like
it's a copy paste and they just added all the textures in. I
maybe.
don't
I
know.
hope so. I hope so. I hope so. Like I don't want to go in to find like some underground secret flank that just kind of ruins map flow. Like
Oh, no, I don't see that. I mean, there might be. That would be kind of
maybe.
disappointing and weird, but
See.
maybe they'll have an explanation. But anyway,
Yeah.
okay, let's see. What other stuff here? Oh, yes. Okay. So, let's talk about something I find kind of interesting. This will be one of the last talking points, and then we'll go into our wish list for the different game modes we would want to make. And then we'll go over Catalyst's 2042 wish list that he made a video on and see how many may have
Which I
come
don't
true.
remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything that I said in that video, so it's going to be a
So
interesting
check
experience.
this out, chat. What is the difference between All Out Warfare and Portal? Go.
Are we waiting for responses in chat, or is that a question for me?
A question for you too.
All
What's the
right. Well, the main
difference?
sorry, I lost your audio for a second.
What's the difference?
Between Battlefield 2042 and like the main game in the Portal.
Yeah.
Well,
Can't
one
okay, let me make this simple here. Can you copy and paste All Out Warfare in Portal?
I would hmm, that's a good question. Well, I mean, I mean, I guess the main difference, if you want to if you want to talk about whether or not you can copy and paste, I suppose that you could, but you can do that pretty much with any other rental system program as well in any other game. You can absolutely just copy and paste, your own specific server. Like sometimes the ability to micromanage your own server is enough. Like say you can have your 128 player server and say, I just want my server that I can control. Same, no rules or anything, but I want to be able to ban hackers when they come, or I want to be able
Right.
to be able to balance teams to make sure that it's always a fair game. That's the main the controllability is the thing that I think is important.
Yeah, and you can have more maps too.
Right, and that's another thing. Yeah, it's like
See what I mean?
I really hate this part of the conquest rotation. I'm just going to pull out Hourglass and Kaleidoscope, or we don't even know how these maps play. I'm just naming them, but like
Yeah, yeah,
we could
yeah.
just we could take out that out of the rotation. But if we're like looking at a Control C, Control V, like I imagine for some people the ability to ban cheaters and the ability to balance servers is going to be something that's going to be enough. I think for some.
Okay, well there you have it, guys. I mean, I agree. With Callus here, I personally think All Out Warfare is just the staple selling thing, the easy way of going things, the less confusing way of doing things. This is standardized game mode here, which is usually pretty popular, especially from BF1 and BF5, is usually the go-to, the standard game mode, right? Standard TTK. This is the way DICE wants you to play with it. But what's stopping a dude from just making the All-Out Warfare playlist on Portal, but now an admin can ban cheaters and, miscreants or whatever? Um, it just seems like All-Out Warfare is just going to fizzle away if they don't adapt. So what I hope they're gonna do is bring in popular Portal stuff and put it into All Out Warfare, or just kind of be flexible with what they want to do over time. Of course, it's gonna be there for a while, maybe throughout the entire first year of seasons. Um, but after that, man, what if nobody's playing All Out Warfare because Portal is super like it's the tits, like
Yeah.
yo, this is way better experience. There's no hacker or not many hackers, and it's just a better all experience. I don't have to deal with this or that. That's annoying. The tornadoes turned off in my server. Come on by. Like I don't
Yeah.
know yet, but it's a possibility. I just think that they should be a little more flexible in their all-out warfare, and bring in highlight more stuff in there. I don't know, or just get rid of it. I don't know.
It really comes down to this. It really comes down to this. How good and how well is this 128 player gimmick going to play? That's all that it comes down to.
Yeah,
Because if DICE can miraculously, and I think that this was going to be an enormous challenge before the player count was confirmed, I said, hey, 50v50 is probably enough. 50v50 is probably enough of a step. I don't know necessarily that going full 60, 64v64 is going to be good for A, performance, but good for map flow and balance and all these other things. The difference between All Out Warfare staying alive as opposed to Battlefield Portal is really the reality of how well that All Out Warfare game mode is balanced and how well the map flow go, and like how well paced the game
can
is.
I
Because
add a can I add a caveat here?
sure,
Brett FX brought up here in the chat the quick play. Well,
yeah,
I think quick play is a huge thing to fill up servers, like straight up. I mean, that's what
yeah,
filled up most of Battlefield 1 servers. I remember,
yeah.
and Battlefield 5. So that's a quick little caveat. Go ahead.
No, I think that's a great point because not only does that also kind of double down on the fact that there's going to be a server browser as we know it should and love the server browser to be, and there's no skill-based matchmaking as far as we can tell, right? It's going to be mostly server browser and quick match types of things.
Yeah,
Um,
there might be like maybe some server auto balancing using kind of like what Battlefield 4 did, where they took a skill number and you remember the bullshit skill rating thing in
yeah,
Battlefield 4,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's how
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah, yeah,
balance
yeah.
people out.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be something like that, but I don't know. They didn't really talk. They didn't talk about
Yeah.
it.
And if I imagine that they'll probably have quick match all out warfare, and then if they
Yeah.
really want to be ambitious, they can do quick match Battlefield Portal 2, where you just get randomly quick matched into this
See,
random
that's
dude's
I
lobby.
want
And
that. I want it. I want it. Even if it's like customizable, like in Call of Duty, where you can pick out specific game modes you want.
yeah,
I
maybe.
think
I
they
mean,
should have that, man.
it's a
I think they should.
possibility.
I think it'll be
But
huge
I mean,
if they did
it
that.
all goes back to the question, like how would, in the event that Battlefield Porter is just absolutely superior to the actual game that they've made and are trying to sell us, which
Right.
I think is a very, like, again, going back to like the different like Doctor Strange situations, me sitting on a rock in Infinity War. There is also a reality that I have played out where it's like Battlefield 2042 is an absolute disaster, but Battlefield Portal is the better experience, and then Battlefield 2042 dies, which I think would be a horrible embarrassment for DICE, right? If the game that I don't want to necessarily want to use the word like passion project, but this is the game that they wanted to make after Battlefield 5. Like this was their big idea. This was their one chance. We need to get the community back. Game. This is our last shot, and then they come out with an absolute stinker while DICE LA or Ripple Effect or whatever they want to call themselves just swoops right in with a knight in shining armor and says, "Hey, I'm going to save this franchise again." Like, I feel like that would
Yeah,
be
maybe.
horrible. I feel like that would be horrible. Like, sure, there will be somewhat of a playable game, but it's like, how much content is there actually going to be there? And
I'm curious if they're gonna take if it does take off, Portal takes off, and those remastered maps. Why not just add those to your playlist for All Out Warfare? Those are big maps. Put in
right,
Valparaiso, 128 players. I don't know if he'll be able to handle 120. We don't know yet, really.
yeah,
But
I don't know about that.
128 player rush would be insanity. I don't even know if anyone would do that. But
There's no way.
maybe breakthrough on Valparaiso would be quite interesting. Though I don't think that map's big enough to handle that many players. But it'll be interesting to see. I just want the more maps in a rotation, the better for me. And also the less shittier maps in a rotation, the better for me. Because there are certain ones in Battlefield 5 where they just had, in my opinion, all of the worst maps all in one. Remember that one? What was that?
The bombastic, fantastic playlist or something like
Bombastic,
that.
fantastic.
What a pile of horse shit.
I hated that play. And we were
Oh
stuck with
my
it.
lord.
We were stuck with it. We
Yeah.
couldn't escape it.
Yeah.
So hopefully that whole dynamic going to 2042 is not like that. Okay? But
Yeah.
you
But like
know,
I said, it goes back to the main principle here. It's like DICE have this 128 player gimmick, and it is absolutely a gimmick. That's what, if every single game has a gimmick. For Battlefield 2042, it's the player size. And people can say like, "Oh, player size has always been a thing for Battlefield." Not to this scale. Not to the scale. How
not
well
doubling it.
is DICE going to effectively balance and, yeah, a balance, I think, is probably the just most optimal word. How are they going to balance that experience in order for it to be replayable to the
Oh,
point
they did.
where Battlefield Portal doesn't overtake it?
Yeah. Brett said that they made it bigger. They changed the map to fit more players.
Yeah, no, yeah, we talked about that earlier, where we talked
Oh,
about,
okay.
I think bubble was the word that they used, where you can shrink the player, you could shrink the playable area and expand it as well.
Well, as we know
Um,
it, Valparaiso, as we know it, is a
right.
64-man server, 32 rush, 32 rush. So
Is he talking about the map editor? Are you
it's
talking about the map editor? Or
there's no
something, Brett?
map editor, but I mean they have a map editor. We won't, but we can't change the actual map to make it bigger,
Hmm.
right? As
Right.
let's just say standard, the way it is standard from how we know it. You mean the remastered is just bigger? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, I see.
Valparaiso particularly, I think they, like, drained out the water or something to make it more accessible for 120 players, which is fine. You know
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's awesome. That's good. I mean, I just don't want it to be a clusterfuck at every objective, because that's one of the biggest problems with, uh, the modded versions of older Battlefield games was to increase the player count, and it just never worked out, from what I understand. So, okay, Anyway, if you guys got questions in the chat, go ahead and put them in. We're gonna go on to our second to last topic here. We're already at 2.5 hours. Not bad.
Not
Not
too
bad at
bad.
all. And I was expecting it to be around this time, but let's go over the 10 modes. Let's start with Catalyst.
You
What
want
are
me to go
your.
first?
Yeah, let's go with you. Do you have your list up
I
here?
do. I do have my list.
This will be Catalyst's top, how would I say, portal game mode wish list. So go ahead and then list them off and then explain.
I had a hard time picking 5 actually. Can I do honorable mentions? Is that something that
Sure,
I can
yeah,
do?
man. It's the
All right, so
Battlefield show.
one honorable mention that I want to do is a riff on the Call of Duty One in the Chamber game mode, where you can force reload after one shot and turn everything up to like 300% damage, where you legitimately have like one shot per magazine, and you have to hit your shot, otherwise, you
Dunzo.
get killed. So that's like an honorable mention.
Okay.
The first thing that I really want to see, and this is kind of a selfish kind of game mode here, is I really want to explore the idea of the competitive T4 rush game mode. So Brett, who's in the chat right now, myself, codename Deuce, Jordy, and a bunch of other competitive players created the T4, which T4 stands for Team of Four. So you can have T8, T12, teams of 8, teams of 12, etc., so on, so on. Where so T4, teams of 4, rush or squad rush. It came on later in the Battlefield competitive cycle for Battlefield 5, and we were extremely limited in what we could do because of how lackluster and half-baked the community games were. So we couldn't change where objectives were. We had to make compromises with the timer and how many tickets were allowed and what you could ban and what you couldn't ban because
Yeah.
of the half-assed fuck show that was community games. So um I would be really interested to see, like, with new and greater technology and with greater customization, how we would be able to take that mode and evolve it for competitive play. That's like my own like personal like selfish request, unless the rest is just kind of just uh stuff that I thought of. I want to see Squad Obliteration return. I loved Squad
Squad
Obliteration.
obliteration. Yeah, huge in
I think that
competitive.
would
Oops,
be
sorry.
huge competitive game mode, but I think also it can be fun casually as well. I would love to see somebody recreate Squad Obliteration. Uh, Number 3, I was thinking of like this hard point, kind of like Call of Duty hard point slash frontlines mode, where there is you take a game of frontlines, but if we can do logic stuff with the portal and everything, we can randomize objectives. So let's say
What was
you all fight.
Hardpoint again? Hardpoint was from
Hardpoint
Frontline,
was from
right?
Call of Duty, where it was like a
Oh,
cycling
I'm getting
objective
confused.
where you got like hill time, and you scored by hill time. But except in this case,
Oh,
you know, the objectives that you go for are RNG. So I think this would be really good because you could take control, you could take advantage of the clusters that the DICE is implementing with 2042. So you have like all these different small objectives on these massive maps. So it may be a little bit difficult to work together with like the absolute size of
ah,
the map. So I'm saying like you take like a frontlines game mode where you have a centralized objective. So like let's just say like using a Battlefield 5 map as an example. Say you have that central frontlines twisted steel point where you're kind of like out in the marshland and there's the townland. That's where the game starts, and then just based on, a random number generator, RNG completely, you have like 3 separate objectives that you could potentially go to capture and move the game forward. And that's also kind of some things that you see with some like Milsim games like Hell Let Loose or Squad, where the objectives that you fight over are going to be different every single time you play a map. So sometimes
ah.
you'll play like I play Hell Let Loose in my time off. I love Hell Let Loose. It's probably the only Nielsen that I really enjoy. But for like Utah Beach, there's a Utah Beach map. Sometimes you'll be fighting over the church. And it may be in a different server, the objectives are set up in a way where you're fighting over a cemetery or whatever. So yeah, so you have the front lines game mode, and then you have a random objective that you can go and push to. And it also gives you that tension, like which team is going to get there first. Like There's kind of some RNG involved in it. Like, okay, if I'm the defending team and I'm getting pushed back, like which objective is it going to be? Am I going to roll the dice and think it's going to be the bridge objective, or is it going to be a
Ah,
completely different objective? And now I've just kind of fucked myself.
yeah.
Uh, and you bring vehicles into play where the better transportation heli pilot is going to be a huge component or like a huge plus for your team. So I think that would be really cool, like some kind of front lines based game mode, but with randomized objectives that take advantage of 2042's gigantic maps and cluster system where they have like miniature objectives in each gigantic sector. That's how all out warfare is
And
going
then
to
a
work.
random tornado comes in, right?
Yeah, and then a random tornado comes in
And fucks
and
up your
fucks
day.
everything up. Exactly. Um, I was thinking of that, and I
That'd be
thought
cool.
it's not necessarily like Call of Duty because hard point in Call of Duty relies upon hill time, and then it just rotates no matter what. This would be more based on capturing the objective and then moving forward, and then
Well,
you get to obviously MCOMs because the pretext, like the preset is front lines, but with randomly generated objectives.
what would you call it? Did you ever think about it? Would you just call it hardpoint?
No, I wouldn't call it hardpoint. I don't know what I would call it. I don't know what I would call it.
Hard line.
Hard line.
Hard lines. What about hard lines?
Uh, not bad. Not bad. I don't have a name for
PTFO.
it. PTFO.
That'll bring in tons of
um,
players. Popular.
but if I mean, I think that's not to pat myself on the back, but if they really want to utilize,
That could
the
be really cool.
120 player gimmick, that could be pretty cool. Brings a
Yeah.
lot of tension and teamwork, which how Battlefield 5 or Battlefield developers are about teamwork, don't you? Uh,
Mm.
yes,
What's your
teamwork to
number?
the death.
What's your number 4?
Number 4 is grind. I would love to see grind come back in some shape or form. I think that was by far like the best um, limited time game mode that they released for Battlefield 5. I loved grind. It's an absolute farm, clip central, get a
Yeah.
massive flank. Sometimes frustrating, but really fun. And it seems like we'll be able to do that, especially because they said that all of these portal maps will be customizable. We can shrink down the size of the map. So
Oh
grind, I
man,
think, would be pretty fun.
dude,
And
grind on maybe. What was it, the kaleidoscope? Grind on a
yeah,
kaleidoscope, like right in the center.
uh-huh.
Well, even though we haven't
Yeah,
got
yeah,
a
yeah.
full picture of the map, but it looks pretty complex. And even like the stadium in Hourglass, I think that might be pretty crazy too, for sure.
Take
Okay,
care, Brett. Um,
all right,
so
later,
and
guys.
and the final one I have is kind of just a really funny, quirky idea, and I don't know.
Yeah,
we we,
that's
we
cool.
kind of we kind of talked about this like melting our CPUs and GPUs earlier, but I think it would be so fun if like unironically fun if there was like a tornado team deathmatch where there was like two tornadoes in this small area and players were just getting flipped around and it's team deathmatch, so kill as many players as you can while everybody's being flung around. It might be a little nauseating and you might need a sick bag here, but hey, if they're really that proud of their tornadoes that they've spent 3 years working on and it doesn't completely nuke my game on my computer, let's have a tornado team deathmatch where there's a small playable area and a tornado is just at the center of it and it's whipping everybody around.
You can
Um,
call it. You can call it TTTDM.
t-
TTDM.
yeah,
Titty DM. There you go.
Titty DM.
Perfect.
or what's that scale that they judge tornadoes on? It's not the Richter
F.
scale. That's for
I don't know.
that's
Whatever
for
F stands
earthquakes.
for.
Uh,
F5 or
yeah,
EEFV.
I don't know.
I don't know exactly, but yeah.
Some scale. Anyways, yeah. So those are my 5 plus an honorable mention of one in the chamber. I think those would be.
All
I
right.
think I think that's a good way of like adding in competitive, which is obviously a huge background of mine. Um, adding in some competitive stuff, some casual stuff, some returning fan favorites, but
Yeah.
also some like really quirky things.
I'm excited for
Excuse
those.
me.
Shit.
Yeah.
Man, Titty
All
DM
right.
sounds really fun for sure.
Titty DM. Yeah.
Okay, here's mine, Chad. If anyone cares out there, here we go.
I care.
My first one will be a gun game, basically. But there's a lot of cool stuff that they've added in 2042 that we can probably utilize, such as being one of the robo dogs. So I think that would be the first weapon you have to get through is a kill. Everyone starts with a robo dog and has to kill another robo dog to get. So we'll start with that, and then we'll after that you turn into an EOD bot if that's how it works, and then you have to go around and kill a robo dog if with an EOD bot. It's gonna be really hard, really tough for sure, but it's gonna pay off because the robo dogs probably could kill the infantry players once you get onto the guns. Then you're going to be in real big trouble. So maybe they might use that later on. But anyway, of course, the last one would be a knife, but I don't want to spoil all the rest of them. Anyway, so that would be my first one, a gun game. I think people can go nuts on that. We'll see how many limitations there will be on there or not. The other one I would have is basically what they showed in the trailer, kind of like a VIP, protect the president kind of thing. It'll just be protect JulianJanganoo, and I think that'll be my VIP kind of thing. That would be really fun to play with viewers like you guys. That would be cool. Of course, I would have, like I mentioned before, all maps, 24/7 conquest, standard TTK, no weather events, and a limited amount of specialists that can be used. We'll see what's what's good and what's not overpowered and stuff like that. But I would want something like that for sure. And my final game mode would really benefit off the bullet velocity variations that you can use. And I got this idea actually not from my own, but I got it from Level Cap. He had a video that he made about some modes he would want, and I was like, "Oh shit, I want that too!" And I put it in my top 5, a Quake mode. I thought his idea was fantastic. I think having super, you can put it all the way to max, right? Hit scan galore, and then maybe if we can mess with the gravity, that would be really cool. And you can have a Quake mode or like a weird Halo variant or something. Would be really fun. Low TTK, low gravity. It'll be a free for all. And my little twist on that would be McKay, the grappling hook specialist only on that one. And maybe that would be really fun for some Quake fans out there. So you could be ziplining
or maybe
grappling
maybe
around
something
like a crazy madman.
Maybe like a riff on that, maybe something like Unreal Tournament, like an Instagib kind of thing. Like imagine they put like a railgun in the game at some point where you can just put everybody on railgun, make a specialist only, you get a grappling hook, and you just I guess the grappling hook would serve for like the dodge movement of Unreal Tournament.
Sure.
So it kind of yeah. I
Sounds
think
like
that'd be pretty cool.
Oh no! Oh, my idea's ruined. Yeah, hit scan. I think hit scan would be really funny. I think it would be like pretty annoying for some people, but I think some competitive dudes might get a kick out of that.
Hey, yeah. I mean, I think I also want like some game mode that I think could be just like really fun for community building, like our own personal community, something that we can like say like a Friday night. We're saying like, hey, I'm not feeling getting farmed by whatchamacallit, a little bird. I'm not feeling like getting farmed by a little bird on Hourglass for 2 hours. How about we all just jump in a portal server and do some quirky competitive game mode and like person who gets the most kills I'll gift a sub to. Like something that allows us to interact with our communities in the way that we want to and just like build them and have a good time and actually enjoy Battlefield. I think everybody deep down in their core just wants to be able to enjoy Battlefield 2042. They want to be able to enjoy Battlefield again.
Oh, memes are gonna be glorious. I'm telling you.
Yes.
If they really put some passion into Portal, add some cool stuff, fun stuff, get into the live service, give us more maps. Oh, it's gonna be
again, and also like I already said, like huge for photographers because I know that there's a bunch of Battlefield community members that just get a kick off of uh, taking photos of stuff. So um, whether that's for thumbnails or just for own personal hobby, I hope that the spectator mode is good enough and that people could come up with some really kooky creative things and yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's see. Anybody put anything? Oh, I think Cards mentioned the F scale. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know what
that
the
was the
F.
tornado
Yeah.
for the tornado. Like,
Fortress is better than Grind. Totten Krieger. Wow.
hold on, I'm a mod, right? Let me go ban Totten Krieger real quick.
What are your thoughts on doing away with traditional class system in favor of having spec ops, and do you see it screwing up the core Battlefield experience and gameplay? No, not really. What they decided to do is they're going to have 10 specialists at launch, but each one is in a category of that class. So I don't think they're getting rid of class systems at all. You're just going to have a choice of the class specific that you like the medic, but you'll just have a cool, unique tool with it. So no, I don't think they're going to get rid of classes. It's still there. It's just now in categories, and
Yeah.
you have more freedom to now choose whatever secondary and primary weapon you want. It'll just open up the meta, and it'll be nuts. It'll be pure chaos. So let's see if they can balance that out. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't really mind that. I didn't really have a problem. I was actually
yeah,
kind of intrigued and interested when they said that they're getting rid of the traditional class system, which they're not doing in its entirety, but like having weapons be usable across all classes. I was actually, pretty in favor of that. Like
yeah,
sure, the counter argument to that is like, oh, it's going to be horrible for readability. I'm like, it's horrible for readability now, and we see like exactly what class people are playing, but because of the customization in 5, it's almost impossible to. I mean, generally speaking, you can tell what classes they are, but I mean, it's not always the most readable. But you're still going to be shooting at them. My big thing was, um, I'm fine with like weapons transferring over classes, but when gadgets can transfer classes, that's when I say like, okay, then maybe that presents like a lot of balancing issues.
mm,
So, depending on how many like what gadgets can be used on what classes, like it's going to be horrible for balance if like everybody can equip like a stinger and a med pack or whatever. Like I wonder what checks and balances they're going to have in place to kind of get rid of that, because it's going to be horrible for vehicle players and heli pilots if everybody has a rocket launcher, and then it comes like, okay, well, how many helicopters are going to be on the field at a given time? How many tanks are going to be in the given? That's a whole different rant when it comes to like balance. Like,
yeah.
so
Don't they
gadgets,
better be on it,
yeah,
because otherwise it's
gadget
gonna be a mess.
gadgets transferring across classes worries me. But as far as like traditional like primary secondary firearms, that just doesn't. I
Yeah, the
know
amount of the claymores.
Steve is in no way, shape, or form a pilot sympathizer. Death to all pilots. Put them in a cage. That's
Yeah, I share that same sentiment. Right, Britt? See, let's go. Fuck planes. Okay, we're about to
I
wrap
just
it
want a
up.
balanced game.
Yeah. We're about to wrap it up here pretty soon. We got one more little segment. We'll get through this real quick, and then we'll say our goodbyes. And I appreciate everyone coming by for the season 3 of the Battlefield Show, which will be my weekly podcast talking about everything about 2042. I'll be having new guests on almost every single week. Right now, the game's not out yet, obviously, so we may not have too many of these, but I do want to get more people onto the show. Not sure if I'll have one next week, but as we get more information, as we get stuff coming in from the alpha and then all the beta stuff, it's going to be really exciting. Also, I think I might plan to bring back the gang that we've had before, where we have 10 people talking about the release of the game, and I think I'm going to do that right at launch day, or at least the weekend after launch day. Give some people some breathing room so they can actually go play and whatnot. So we'll do one of those inquisitions like we had before in BF5. I think it'll be somewhere around launch week, sometime around there, and we'll bring everybody back. Maybe even invite Catalyst back to the gang. Okay,
Yeah. Make me
we
the
shall see.
what it would be my third appearance. So would that be the record for most appearance on the Battlefield show?
Maybe I think so. I think
Maybe.
it might be.
I'll take the record. Hey,
Why not?
you'll have
Okay.
me, sure.
All right. So we're gonna go over your Battlefield 2042 wish list. Let me bring up
My
um
my
your
2042 wish list in which
video.
I have no idea what I said.
Let me
God,
see
that
if I
was
can
so long ago. I think I posted that
grab it.
right as I think I posted that right as the game finished its content or 5 finished its content.
Alice HD. I closed your tab on accident. My bad.
Oh,
I'm so terrible. Okay, here. Let me. I got it right
feed
here.
me views. Feed me views. Thank you. Yes.
Let's see.
Yes.
Where was that here? 2042 wish list. Is it one of the newer ones, right?
Probably about a year ago, right?
Shoot. What Battlefield needs to succeed? Is that it? No, 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 no. Dang it! I just had it. Ugh.
Let me see.
See if you can
Let me
find it.
see.
Yeah,
I
I
gotta
just
find
want
my
to.
own video. Come on, Julian.
I'm so not prepared. I think it's what Battlefield needs. Yeah, that's it. What Battlefield needs to succeed. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, what Battlefield 6 needs to succeed.
Yeah,
1
Battlefield
year ago.
6. Yeah, because we didn't know
We
what it
didn't
was
know.
about. Okay, so this is one of Callus's videos here. And he went over his wish list. So let's see, with all the information we have right now, let's see if they actually came to pass. So the first thing you're talking about here in this one is single player campaign, and that you
Ooh.
wanted a single player campaign. What are your thoughts on it now that we won't have a
So
single
so the
player?
the caveat for having a single player campaign was that I was under the impression that having war stories and having to follow somewhat of a historical accuracy really bottlenecked DICE into making some very disinteresting and unenjoyable stories and also led DICE to be kind of bottlenecked, and they were super into this never before seen battle gimmick that Battlefield 5 had, and I think,
Ugh.
it was something that really stifled the creativity of the game, and I think most of the creativity in the game definitely came from, quirky cosmetics as opposed to like having good map design and interesting player areas and everything. So the caveat for having a single player campaign was for me to basically say, okay, you have a single player campaign, you make it modern, you can create your own story, and that should cultivate your creativity and being able to complete and being able to create interesting player environments, which should lead to better map design as opposed to
Okay.
making a map like Iwo Jima, which, if you're trying to remain faithful to what Iwo Jima actually looks like, that map was a barren wasteland of black sand that has no cover. Like, historically, that is accurate, and that's exactly what we got in Battlefield 5, and it's the worst fucking experience in the game apart from maybe like a PC Operation Underground lobby with everybody running Model 37 and 2A. So the single player campaign, it was a caveated in the sense that as long as it created allowed for creativity in creating the rest of the game.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. I'm not. For or against. I enjoy single player campaigns all the time. Um, I didn't really enjoy most of the Battlefield ones. They're not like on my top 10 list or anything like that. Trust me, I played
Right.
some way better ones than those.
And
But
to
yeah.
be honest with you, that's I kind of got my wish. I mean, in a way, there's no single player campaign, but they did take the time to be more creative. I mean, Battlefield Portal is a bundling hotspot of creativity that has a lot of
Yeah.
potential.
Well,
So
they
I
mentioned that they're gonna have single player stuff or campaign story elements within their new events they're gonna release. Within the All Out Warfare and and the live service that's coming
right.
out. So they'll have some sort of like ongoing storyline. I don't know what that's all about. So we'll have to see. Maybe they might incorporate it into Hazard Zone as well. Some sort of storyline there. The next thing you brought up was I don't want no more freaking attrition. I'm paraphrasing, but you don't want
Yeah,
no more attrition. Well, it doesn't look like it's there's no more attrition. It's gone.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I mean, I actually made a point on a stream like maybe a week or so ago to manually count the amount of attrition deaths that I got over the course of the night. I forget what the final total was. I think it was like 37 attrition related deaths. And the way that I looked at it was like deaths in which you can say, okay, Catalyst didn't make a mistake. He didn't just lose the gunfight, but like he got killed because he had no health back, or like he wasn't in a position to go like run for a health pack, or like a situation in which, okay, Catalyst is low on health. Is he going to fundamentally change the way that he's playing to go and, survive and go and die? So there was some, kind of some loose rules on it, but and I don't remember how many times I died on the night overall, but I think I died about 40 times to attrition. And it's if you actually like sit down and pay attention to it, like how much attrition affects good players, like if you know what to look for and you start looking at it, it's incredible how much it just, like, chops you down at the knees, man. I am so happy that attrition is gone from or isn't in Battlefield 2042. I'm so, so happy.
Good. Yeah,
Phew.
I'm happy too. It's gonna be a lot more. It's gonna be less annoying for sure. Okay. And health attrition as well is what I mean by
Yeah.
that. Okay. Also, long term progression. You
Yes.
mentioned that for sure. One of the big things I didn't like for Battlefield 5 is that you had a level cap at 50. It was super ultra lame. And then later on down the
Big
line, they
lane.
increased it to 500. Why not just do that right off the bat? But whatever. I
Yeah.
digress. What do you expect for a long term progression? They didn't really cover that at all, actually. I think they'll cover it later of how you're going to progress. But what's your thoughts on how it reflects so far in 2042? You
So
can
far, I
speculate if
think
you want.
it looks very promising, especially in comparison to what we had for the past few titles. Battlefield 1, our progression was getting war bonds, or whatever they were called, and unlocking different variants of the same weapon, which, to be
Yeah.
honest, you hardly used any of those
It
weapons.
was
And
pretty
then you
lame,
had
yeah.
you had the grind you had the grind for the level 10 weapons, and I think two out of the four of them were actually decent. The Hell Regal and the Martini Henry were good. Um, and then in Battlefield 5, you grinded a class to unlock a weapon, but all of your sights were already there, and then it was a grind to unlock specializations, which you only had four of them. So once you were done there, basically the only thing that you had to do was unlock gold skins, and some of those skins were essentially the same challenges over and over again. I mean, and you would even have some like similar challenges. Like you would start with like get 5 kills with the Tommy submachine gun, and then go through all these ridiculously hard challenges, and then the final challenge would be like get 12 kills with the Tommy submachine gun. Like there was no creativity in the system. So like looking at this game here, uh, for Battlefield 2042. And I'm speculating that there is going to be some kind of Battlefield 3 slash Battlefield 4 S progression system, or hardline, even for that matter, where based on the plus system, where there appears to be different types of attachments and different types of weapon sights and grips and cosmetics and everything, I'm assuming that we're going to see a return to like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 progression, where we have to grind to unlock our attachments, give you a reason to play, force you to experience and experiment with all different types of weapons. You can't just easily dismiss weapons that you don't want to use straight out of the gate. Like, oh, the MP40 and the MP34 are going to be slow firing, low recoil weapons. Those aren't very good, so I'm just not even going to bother, type of thing. Um, so
And
I'm
yeah,
assuming that there's going to be at the very least some greater progression in this next game. I'll be very disappointed if there isn't.
another level cap at 50. That would suck. Dude, we all know why they did that. Is
Yeah,
to not intimidate new players. It's
yeah.
all about new players. But I'm not getting that vibe anymore from them. It looks like they're catering everything to veteran players, especially releasing the portal is all about
If
veteran players.
if they're going to be catering to new players, it's going to be within the gameplay, not the actual selling points of the
That
game.
yeah, that's what they were missing,
So
I think.
so
Um
we'll have to see.
so you brought up Mexique in the
Yeah.
video that he got all the way to rank 500, like,
All the way.
which is I would never get there basically.
No.
As long, well, if they kept doing content, maybe. But we got players like Brother Steve that are almost there. And well, what's the grand prize, Catalyst? You want to spoil it for everybody that's trying
You
to get
get
to?
You get 8,000 company coin for reaching rank 500 and a congratulation note that's not even that special. I mean, I think Max Seek reached rank 500 like over a year ago, and he's
Ugh.
still playing every single day. Like, and he's been playing the game since the start of the launch as well. So like, and I've known Max for a bit now. Like him and Battlefield 5 tend to not get along these days. I can't even imagine like how much time he spent like under that level 50 restriction hours wise, then to grind to level 500, which would have been 1500 hours, 2000 hours for 8,000 company coin. I felt like morally obligated to knock on, like, to ding dong ditch the Dice Sweden office or some shit. Like,
Yeah,
I,
it's
I
just
can't believe that.
they
That's
didn't
so.
care. There's no passion behind the
There's
level
no there's no
progression. They're just
reward.
like,
There's no reward.
oh god, everyone's complaining that the level capped at 50. I'll just give them 500. Who gives a shit? And then
And I don't
they
know if
like
I made the
press a slider all the way to 500, and then they went on vacation. That's basically
Yeah,
what they did.
I don't know if it was this video that I made the comments on, but the kind of irony that company coin wasn't working in the first like 4 months of the game, and people were so like they were so worried about their company coin just to have the reality that there was going to be nothing else coming, like the content like
Oh my
you
god.
couldn't really purchase with company coin, like there was nothing to spend it on.
Well,
Um
they were teasing it, right? And then I did my Battlefield
yeah.
show with somebody, and I was like, bro, they can do some crazy shit with this. Yo, you can get like all those unique customizable or customization stuff, soldier outfits. Dude, they can release all those in this. That would be really cool. And we were speculating the hell out of that.
Yeah.
And then when it released, it was trash. It was just nothing. It was just
Yeah.
company coin. And what else was there? Like
There was Boynes.
coins, maybe a little bit, but very little, very little.
Yeah.
Um, just garbage, just terrible. Okay, so let's hope they recognize that and be a little creative with your progression system. Maybe not just ranks or whatever. Maybe add some spice to it. Maybe add some a little
Like
something else.
I honestly didn't mind battle packs in Battlefield 4. Like
The
even
randomized
yeah,
attachments.
even if you like
It's
went
illegal
through,
now,
let's
though.
say, yeah, well, even if you went through like the M416 tree, like you still had a reason to play with the weapon and reason to grind it. Like
Yeah.
it's all about giving the player purpose and not like artificial purpose. And like I think you notice it a lot more when you play through the progression system a second time because like remember I switched from console to PC. I had to play through that a second time.
Yeah.
And like seeing all of that and going through it a second time was just like mind numbing. It was such a slog.
Yeah, and everything they added, what was it? Oh, the tier skips. They had like 5 of
Yep.
those in a row or something.
Yeah.
And we were just
10,
waiting for like something cool to drop. And
10 tier skips in a row, I think, at one point. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, anyway, let's not talk about that. All right. The next thing here, non-content drip feeding or no content drip feeding. We want seasons. Well, look at that. Wow, they listen to your feedback, Catalyst.
Put me ahead of dice management, please and thank you.
Wow, this is incredible. So there you go. No more drip feeding content. Looks like you're gonna have someone on Twitter. I think there's a rumor from Tom Henderson that you get 100 items in the season in the battle pass. So wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot of shit. Probably most of it's gonna be skins. Yeah, skins, and maybe some like XP bonuses and stuff like that.
Right.
Who knows? But
Right.
yeah,
Like as long as it's not like one item per week, because like I've done my rants on the Tides of War drip feeding system. Like I don't want an
oh
M30 drilling skin that looks like it was drawn by a developer's 4-year-old at daycare. Like I
no
do
no no
not
no no.
want stuff like that. Give me bulk content that I can run through way too quickly and then leave me wanting more for your next season pass. Give me something to look. Give me something to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. And season pass, like like again, rumored again that it could have 2 maps per season, which is pretty
Wow.
wild. One remaster and one new one. I don't know how the hell they had time to make all these maps, but hopefully they'll be pretty good and not just lackluster. Let's move on to the next one here. Let's see. So, you wanted collectible items to find around and community-wide challenges, which we
Mm-hmm.
kind of had in Battlefield 5,
Mm-hmm.
and map creation, emblems, and dog tags. You brought those up. So, I don't.
Lots of
Dog
to
tags,
be
hey,
determined. Lots of
dog.
to be determined there.
We got the dog tags, but we don't know
Two
how
of the
they're going
dog
to
tags.
implement them. They just showed
Okay.
it off in the trailer that he pulled off a dog tag, and there it is. How they're going to implement that, we don't know. Emblems, not sure yet, right? I'm sure it's going to be super controlled,
Yeah, I think
like
I think I was
origin
in the
based.
mindset. Yeah, I think I was in the mindset of like, wow, okay, the platoon system, which was what seemed to work better in Battlefield 1 and was stuck in beta hell for Battlefield 5. The ability to customize emblems and like really be creative with your branding and your tags and everything. Obviously, TOS and PG-13, of course, but
Right.
yeah, I think where it was coming from the heart was really just stuff to small things, like the small things that make those games memorable. The small things that maybe you have like a second thought up, but like you actually miss them when they're gone. And I think like some of the small challenges that you had to do for dog tags, like some ridiculous stuff, like when you actually got that really sick looking dog tag, like, oh my god, this is so cool. When the reality is that the only way that anybody's gonna see it is when they melee you in the back, but still, um, yeah,
Yeah, I
or
mean
when you got killed by them. But yeah,
you're showing off some Battlefield 4 dog tags. Those are pretty cool. You get to
yeah,
collect all of them from you can even collect some that you can't unlock, but you can keep it in your inventory if you got it from someone else who did. I love
yeah.
the 2142 dog tag system was really cool. It had really good designs, especially when you backstab somebody or just stab somebody, you get them and you can get their names and you have a whole list of
Hmm.
the people you took off and how many times you took it off from them. Would be really cool a collection to show off. I don't know if they'll actually do something like that due to like maybe harassment policies and whatnot, or like toxic moments. But I think it's all in
Yeah,
good
like
fun. I
how
just
many
don't
times can I
know.
go and get how many times can I go and take Ender's tags or something? Probably zero because he'll shit on me, but um
Yeah, something like that.
yeah,
Some
but
of your favorite content creators that you go
yeah.
after. That was a huge thing. It was
Wall of
fun.
Fame.
I think they should bring it back and not worry about this whole, you know, privacy concerns or harassment and stuff like that. I think it'll be fine. It's good fun.
Stiff
Um,
Johnny P would have a field day.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And you can like I wish it would be like web browse. Yeah, like a web browser, server browser. No, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm like on Chrome or something where you can, organize it and then you can maybe share it with some people. But we're kind of getting to like battle log territory. I don't
Hmm.
know. I'm just really intrigued by this whole portal online system, and maybe it'll evolve into more options we can use on there. But I guess we'll see. I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot, or just have it all in game to be honest. So yeah, let me stream snipe Julian, grab his tag, 420 tags. You guys are terrible. Okay, and then the community wide challenge. Oh wait, map creation. Ain't happening. No map editor. Is that what you meant by
No.
map creation?
Probably. You know what? Let's leave that one up in the air. It's very
Okay.
possible that that's what I meant, but I honestly I can't remember. Uh,
The community
when
wide
did I?
challenges then?
When did I post
Oh,
that video out of curiosity? Like April something? April
it's
2020?
April. Does that say 2009? I can't tell on here. April 2020. Yeah, April.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who knows? Um
But yeah. So what about community wide challenges?
Oh, maybe I meant map creation like Operation
Oh,
Outbreak.
oh,
Like community effort maps.
oh yeah.
Like
I guess we'll
taking
see.
a look, yeah, taking a look, sitting down with the community as they did and said, "Okay, what would you like to see in a map?" And being like, "Okay." Let's let's put that in the map. And then community wide challenges like get X amount of kills with as the British team, like something really generic or something. It doesn't have to be like over the top, but something like get this amount of kills with the sniper class over the next 24 hours, and you get a special dog tag.
Well,
You
I
know,
hope they incentivize using different specialists over
yeah.
time. So,
I mean, I have the feel, and that's a good point. It's like this game is going to be so massive. They should kind of not to the extent of where it's like, okay, we're going to give you a limited time game mode and a weekly playlist, and you have basically 7 days to play it, and then it's gone forever. Like not like that type of steering, but you should absolutely have a sense where it's like, hey, we should like maybe they say like, hey, the McKay specialist isn't getting as much playtime as we think it is, and it's really cool. So maybe this amount of kills you get with this specialist over the next 24 hours, and you'll get a special dog tag or you'll get a special emblem that you can wear, and it's limited time. Like, get players playing, give them incentive to play without really forcing or bottlenecking them into, because even if you give a challenge like a community challenge like that, you could still do that in a wide variety of areas. You can do that in the portal system, you can do that in 2042 like the main game.
I love it.
Like, there are options, you know.
Yeah, I love it. There could be some cool stuff. I like your collectible items ideas. Um, I was also thinking maybe they can have collectibles via microtransactions would be cool. Like
EA.
heirlooms, like heirlooms or something from Apex, instead of having the traditional the grappling hook from
Mhm.
McKay. You can have an I don't know, a fucking heirloom grappling hook. Like, it just looks different, you know. And maybe that could be some sort of collectible there. But what did you quite mean
Huh.
by collectibles?
Like in terms of just like community collectibles
Yeah, like what do you mean? Like, just stuff you pick up randomly in the map that you can find, or
yeah, not necessarily like things that you find randomly in the map, but like gun charms or patches
ah,
or just something to spice up the personality. I think that's probably where I was going with that. Some type of
well,
advanced personality. Um,
we have weapon charms, right?
yeah,
I think that's
I
selling
think
then the
so.
pre-orders and pre-order bonus. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was guessing, like, the medic has the medic syringe pistol. Like, instead of just the standardized one, you can get like a really cool, like, futuristic looking one that like has
Yeah.
glowy lights on it. It's a unique item to that specialist. I don't know. I feel like they can make hella money doing that. But anyway,
Oh yeah, I think so too. Like some like really wacky specialist cosmetics, like your pistol dart or your medic pistol dart is like, I don't know, like something really stupid, like looks like a stapler. I don't know, something fucking random. But like,
I hope they don't go too crazy. I mean, like the bipod knife. Like, I don't want to spend $15 on a bipod knife.
it's got to be
Like,
tactful. It's got
let's
to be tactfully done.
make it look nice. Well, if we're gonna have an heirloom or specialist class, they have at least unique. They have to be unique or something, not like a glowing green grappling hook.
Or like cosmetic collectible like
Hello
announcer
Kitty, yes,
voices.
the Hello
Like
Kitty one.
announcer voices. Like, remember in Modern Warfare 3, I know I mentioned Call of Duty a lot. You could tell what I played
Oh
before I played.
yes,
Like, I
perfect.
want Snoop Dogg yelling to me to get on the alpha objective. You know,
Oh
like
god,
I would
that'd
pay
be
money for
cool.
that.
That would be interesting for sure.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know
I can.
what.
I don't think I can replicate what he would say to me on stream. I think that's anti
Yeah,
TOS.
for sure.
He's probably
Okay,
dropping a few N bombs, but
the other one from your 2042 wish list you made in April, you mentioned I don't want no more random recoil. What do you mean by
damn,
that? And do you think
I was
you
way
think
ahead of it.
yeah, I don't know if they're gonna still do random recoil. It doesn't seem like it. I mean, it doesn't
To
seem like
me,
there's any recoil really.
I was talking with Enders the other night, and I think maybe it was last night even, and it looks like the recoil it's moving back to spread. Initially, that based on the what combined 20 seconds of gunplay we've seen and
In
combined like three
pre-alpha.
trailers, yeah, pre-alpha gunplay, right? Um, just get rid of the spread to recoil conversion. Don't decouple recoil from the center of your screen. Do not attach it to your weapon sight. And for those of you who don't know, that's the way that the random recoil works in Battlefield 5, and why the gunplay system is actually not as good as you think it is in Battlefield 5 is the fact that, unlike every single FPS game that you have ever played in your entire life, Battlefield 5's recoil is not tied to the center of the screen. It's tied to your weapon reticle, which is why stuff is already unpredictable. On top of the fact that you have random recoil conversion, which randomizes your bullet spread. So
Yeah, for the
none of
automatic
that
guns. Yeah, for the
for automatics, which is why semi-automatic rifles are so powerful in the game, and why they feel so overpowered all the time is because
I
the
don't have that.
semi-automatic rifles are as close to hit scan as you can get, which is why they're typically, on some maps it's not so good, but some of the better weapons.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well,
Yeah.
let's see if they do that. It looks promising right now. The pre-alpha gameplay that we just saw for Portal, it didn't even look like there was any recoil. I can bring up the clip if you want me to, but I
It
think you
looked
guys get the
it,
idea.
it looked very pre-alpha-y to me. I don't know about you. I kind of was looking
Yeah.
at it and I said the hit markers, it doesn't seem smooth yet. It seems like they need to
Let me see if I can bring
patch
it
up
up. Real.
some
Oh wait, it's on
animations.
here. Um,
It
it's on
looked like it
Portal.
had no recoil. It looked like it was I think he might have been using a DMR though, which may have explained why they didn't look like any recoil.
No, he was using the freaking Tommy gun.
Oh, I'm talking about that like German versus four specialist scenario where he was using a DMR.
Let's see. I don't know for sure.
Oh, if you're talking about the Erica Harbor clip, I know what you're talking about as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Let's see here. Can I watch this on YouTube, please? Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah, I think it was somewhere around where they were making the different type of game modes here. Oh wait, it's not in the trailer. My bad. It's in the actual EA
It's in the
Play
EA Play,
thing.
yeah.
Ah, forget it. It's gonna take too long to find that.
Yeah. Forget
Anyway,
it.
yeah, forget
Forget
about
about
it.
it.
We're
Yeah.
about like 3 hours in, so we gotta wrap this up here pretty
Yeah,
soon.
for sure.
But okay, so we got that RSP private games. Hello, Portal. Hello. Okay, we got that. Reduced animations. Now, I think they're gonna keep having animations in this game, but if they're advertising things like the Rendezvous, you can't have animations to do that successfully. Maybe a little bit, because you could do
The
some kind of
animations
that in Battlefield 5, but
the
barely.
animations I'm specifically talking about are exit and entering animations for vehicles, and also the animations that you get like and I don't think this is going to be necessarily a thing because attrition isn't looking like it's going to be the game, but like holding up a med pack when you get thrown a med pack and it screws up your aim when you get it and it blurs your vision, your field of view when you
I'm
get it.
curious. I'm curious about that. The
So
medic.
things so uh, honestly, I think the more important one is not having an exit animation. I think
Okay.
entering if I was held with a gun to my head and said you need to choose to keep one and get rid of the other, I would say entering is fine, exit is not fine because I mean, I can't tell you how many times I tried to jump out of the plane in Battlefield 5 and I overshot my drop zone by about 10 seconds because it took me so long to jump out of the plane. Um,
Okay, well, it seems like there's entry
it looks
animations
like
from the
it looks like
trailers.
chat. Yeah, it looks like chat is kind of on the same page here.
All right, cool. So we'll see. There's not hard evidence that there's any enter and exit animations. We saw a player go into a helicopter as it was being dragged into the tornado. We saw
Mhm.
that. It looked like an animation going in, but we don't know for sure what that's like. It's all pre-alpha anyway. Okay, so
Yep.
hopefully there'll be reduced animations. If they're again like they're showcasing things that require you not to have insane animations, uh, yeah. So they're probably gonna have to reduce those.
Mhm.
You also wanted to keep the reduced grenade spam from
Yes.
Battlefield 5, which I also share that sentiment as well, especially going back and watching Battlefield 1 clips of just constant grenades coming in. I think I have that the
Yeah,
video even.
I think I included something like that in the video
Yeah, I'm
where I
trying to
was, like,
find. It was like
hiding in a
Battlefield
corner and
1.
just, like yeah, just, like, watching all of these grenades fly past my head.
Yeah,
Um,
here it is. Yeah. Yeah, this is the ultra grenade spam that is Battlefield 1. Unbelievably terrible. I hated it for sure. It was a huge problem.
which is sorry to keep interrupting, but which
It's
is
okay.
why the balancing in 2042 is so important to me. Yeah, look at this. Look at that spam. That's insane.
Yeah.
God.
It was pretty constant.
Like the reality of we talked about earlier about specialists having weapons being able to go across all classes, right? Which is why I was okay with primary and secondary weapons being usable by all specialists, but not gadgets. Because if you genuinely are able to give everybody a rocket launcher or a grenade pistol or whatever, it leads itself to that kind of spammy gameplay, which I don't think is good for map flow. I don't think that's good for the gameplay loop. Um, I think the way I don't know if it's just because there was less overall grenades and explosives in Battlefield 5. I mean, even the dynamite didn't exactly work the same way.
Yeah.
Uh, but whatever they did, they need I would encourage them to keep doing that because for what's been a huge problem, I would consider it a legacy issue for the game being grenade spam. For something that's been an issue with this franchise as long as I've been playing it,
Mhm.
uh, to say that Battlefield 5 did a good job with grenade spam, I think they would be good to uh,
Yeah.
continue that moving forward. But
The BF2 grenade spam, dude. Like, are you talking about Battlefront or the actual Battlefield 2? I remember, yeah, grenade spam was kind of not. It wasn't that terrible. What was really terrible was freaking Claymore spam, dude. That was awful. Claymores in
mm,
Battlefield 2 were everywhere, man. I fucking hated that. But yeah.
it's all.
We'll
Mhm.
have to see. What I'm thinking is the amount of stuff that's going to be in that bucket of equipment. I think some are going to be more enticing than a grenade, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm also wondering if shock paddles are actually going to be an equipment slot. That would be
You mean like defibs?
like defibs.
I
Look at
wonder if
Portal.
that
Look at Portal.
yeah.
It's an
I
actual
wonder if
item you can have, like a knife.
yeah.
I don't
No, I
know.
saw that. I remember seeing that in the trailer. I'm wondering if that's gonna be in, like, in the main game because it's like
We'll
there's
see.
a specialist with the dart. I don't know if maybe there's, like, another medical specialist with a defib.
Probably. There's like what, 5 more that they have to reveal, or 6 more they have to reveal.
Yeah. No, good point. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just kinda brainstorming.
Or medical bandages. I don't know if they're gonna
Yeah.
have pouches. Like they talk about medical crates and and ammo crates, but no pouches. Plus, if we when we look at the EA Play gameplay, you see every time someone dies, um, uh, ammo drops out of them.
Right.
Maybe that's something that's going to be normal when it comes to ammo. Because I was always wondering, like, when you get, when you start running out of ammo and stuff, where are you going to get ammo from? Like, is that going to be a rare occurrence or what?
I don't
Are
mind
you just
that.
going to have enough?
If that's, like, a part of the attrition system, which is the dropping ammo, I
Yeah,
do not mind if that carries over as long as we don't get the animation, as I said, that we get when we normally pick up ammo, which is we have to every time we have to pick up ammo in Battlefield
yeah.
5, our character has to hold it up, like, just for I don't know if it's just to tell people that they got ammo or if it's just really necessary, but
Like
it's like, "Hey, you
confirmation thing.
yeah, hey, you got ammo, huh?" Kinda, like, just unnecessary like, as long as we don't have that animation playing in front of our screens, I'm fine with it, and honestly, I think it's the stigma of team play in Battlefield is drastically overplayed. I mean, there's so many not as much team play occurs, honestly. The expectation that there's going to be team play,
Yeah.
like, between teammates is what ends up, like, kinda sabotaging the design. So, like, it if they have droppable ammo pouches where, we don't necessarily have to go and find a support player or an ammo crate, that's dependent on the player's ability to recognize, "Hey, I need more ammo. I need to take the extra time to go and, get that ammo pouch that's on the ground." So I wouldn't mind that personally, but,
Okay. Um. Yeah. Let's move on from there. All right. Community test environment. You want a community test environment? None has been shown. I'm so sorry, Catalyst.
We are.
Maybe we'll
I
see.
would bet that we're probably never ever going to get a community test environment again.
Damn, poor
If
Shady.
if if we didn't get a community test environment for Battlefield 5, there is no way in hell we're going to get a community test environment for this game.
Okay.
I just don't think so.
All
There's no
right.
way.
Well, let's hope. They haven't mentioned it yet, but maybe closer to release, or maybe a few months after release, we might get
Maybe
some info. A yes or a
maybe
no. We'll see.
maybe Portal will become the community test environment like de
That's what I'm.
facto.
It sounds logical, you
Yeah.
know. But I mean, we had community games for BF5, and they didn't give a crap about that. So I don't know. We were thinking it's like, oh, well, what if they just have CT server on the community games? Apparently, it doesn't work like that, and it needs to be a separate client. And that's why they had to do that for BF1. CT had to be a completely different client so they can merge everything over, all their fixes and stuff. So I think their other argument was it cost too much money and took too much manpower get a CTE running. Maybe they have alternative ideas, but if for sure shit didn't work in BF5, they really needed that, especially after changing a TTK on us twice when we told them not to. But there you go.
Mm.
All right. Anyway, the next thing here that is in Catalyst's Battlefield 2042 wish list that you made back in April
Of
uh,
2020, so like
of
long time
20
ago.
of 2020. It needs a comp scene.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Maybe Portal can offer that comp scene.
Yeah,
I don't know.
for
We'll
reasons
see.
that I kind of ranted about it earlier in the show, so I'm not gonna go back and retrace
Yeah.
my steps too much. But essentially, competitive gameplay, it only does better for Twitch viewership and game viewership overall. Take a look at the biggest FPS games in gaming right now. Even if you want to include like battle royale, so like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch, um, some of those games, some of those first person shooter games that have competitive scenes, they are so much more popular on Twitch than Battlefield, even though, Battlefield is a AAA title that brings in, a bunch of sales. And, we wonder why we're falling back in viewership. Competition and tension, and for the same reason that we watch sports. And I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm trying not to
It's all right.
but like for the same reason we watch sports on Sundays, we enjoy competition. It's our nature as humans to enjoy competition. It's interesting to us. Who's going to win? Who's going to lose? That type of viewership that a competitive scene can bring. And I know Shady's in the chat right now, and he was a part of that competitive
Yo.
community, way back in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. And maybe he could speak to this a little bit better than I could, but there's such a boost in game interaction and game relevance when you have a competitive scene like that. Um, so whether it's like a ranked mode or a competitive scene in which Dice actually works with a lot of the competitive minds that are in this community, and there are plenty of brilliant competitive players and competitive league owners and minds that can make this happen.
Oh yeah.
And with the portal system coming through, there is a lot of possibilities. So, and we didn't even know that the portal system. When I made this video, I had no idea that the portal system was ever going to be a thing. I could only hope and dream, and now that it's here, like my brain is going wild. Like there is so much potential here. But the reality is that there are so many players like Rella and Jika who have moved on from Battlefield. Waiting. Since the scene is dead. Like, how are we going to get those players back? And is it ever going to truly be
Yeah,
a thing? I
and
my
Portal
my
doesn't seem to be swaying them at all.
yeah.
If you've seen what Rella posted on Twitter, it doesn't seem like he's too excited regardless though.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I guess my
You have to
main point
you
here
have to
is that
start
when
all
it
over
comes
again to build it
right,
up. That's the
right.
problem, I think.
It would probably take about 2 or 3 years for there to be an established scene, which is why you would want to get it started now. I know you've had talks with Brett about this on or maybe I think you talked with Brett about this on the Battlefield show, and
Yeah, a little
I know
bit,
that
yeah.
Brett has talked about it on other things. But like, yeah, for me, competitive, even if we don't, it's not about making money for me. It's not about making money. It's not about,
Yeah.
getting the lands and the records and, the competition. Like, I love competition, but it's also about cultivating community. having an esport will only benefit Battlefield. It will bring more attention to Battlefield. It'll give really good players the platform to shine, and competition is just interesting to us as humans. So that's kind of like my initial push behind having a competitive scene. Obviously, behind stuff like I'm a competitive player, like I want to play against the best players in the world. That just makes me better, and it's entertaining. You know, no, nobody likes going into pubs every single day and stomping everybody. That gets boring after a while. I want to play against guys like Shady who could kick my ass around if they wanted to, you know?
Yeah.
It's
I hope so too. I hope there's password servers like right off the top. I hope that's one of the basic tools for admins is
yeah.
password protected server would be really beneficial. Good spectator mode, which I don't see why they couldn't do that. They did somewhat decent in Battlefield 5. Like they added a whole bunch of tools and stuff. Though it was really buggy and messy, but
Yeah.
BF1 ended up being okay. Hey,
Decent.
kinda. Yeah. So remember back in Battlefield 3 days, they had to hack the game to get a spectator mode. So
Right.
hopefully they don't have to do that again. But
Easy.
anyway, hopefully they'll have the tools there for that. Okay, here's another thing from Callus's wish list. This is a long wish list, Callus. Jeez.
How long was the video? I'm like,
Man, it's still
I keep think,
playing, right? I think
I
yeah, it's
keep
still
thinking that
going.
I keep thinking we're gonna get to the end of the video, and I'm like, how much should I say in this freaking video from
um
April of 2020? My God.
Oh my god, and these are huge topics. Let's not go too much in detail on these, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we could speed through them. We can do
aim
lightning round if
assist,
you want to.
aim assist. I don't want no auto rotation or snap on feature for aim assist. Well, it looks like you can disable it now in good old Portal. Do you think they're
This,
gonna
this
make it worse?
this takes on whole new different levels of relevancy now that there's cross-platform in the game.
Uh oh.
I could you can have anybody on this show talking about like cross-platform and aim assist. Like I don't even know. So, I mean, for those of you in the chat who may not know who I am, I played Battlefield 5 on console for like 2.5 years, and I just recently switched to PC like 6 or 7 months ago. So, like, even in my controller days, like I was so anti snap aim assist. It's even more so now that I'm PC and I have the prospect of like playing against players on consoles. The snap aim assist, Battlefield 5 was so much better when there was no snap aim assist in the game, and they kind of just dropped it in there and acted like it was an accident. I hate it. It's busted. It only caters to part of my French, but shitters. Like
Damn.
it's horrible. Uh, there's nothing worse than getting to jump on somebody like a level 3 with the Sten and just getting insta headshot, like 3 headshots in a row, and you know that it was nothing that they did. I mean, they're sitting with Cheeto dust on their fingers on their couch looking at their 56 flat screen TV, you know, like
Damn. I hear you. I hear. Okay, I think that's
yeah.
enough for aim assist. Let's
Yeah.
find out what they do with it.
We'll go on a rant about aim assist forever, man.
I was also bringing a little topic of if you made a Portal server and it says no aim assist on there, would it actually be popular?
Is it a console server? Like,
It's a
is it?
cross-play server. I'm a PC boy. I made it to where aim assist is off. Would that be popular? Some people said yes for my Twitter,
It
but
might be popular, but for like the wrong reasons. Like, I feel like PC players would be like, "Oh yeah, like
well, how
no
would they
problem,
know?
no aim assist."
How would
But
they
then
know?
you're gonna get this 56-year-old hardcore Battlefield player that's going to log into the server and just get absolutely blindsided, like not know what he's walking into. Like I don't know.
I guess we'll
I
find out,
I
right?
mean, hardcore. There's definitely there. Let me kind of backtrack. There is definitely a calling for a hardcore player base, but I think the titling of the server would have to play a big part. Like, is it a no aim assist server like sweaty server, or is it a hardcore specific server? You know,
Right, right.
it's
I'm very
it,
curious to see who's gonna come up on top with
yeah,
the certain server settings. Again, I'm gonna be pushing for Portal to be the best it possibly can, promoting it as much as possible because I think it's the true Battlefield experience. I really do.
yeah,
And the community is awesome, or at least it was awesome. Now they deleted it pretty much for the last two games. Can we see a resurgence? Can we bring back the fans? I guess we'll find out. See what's popular. See what's good. Okay, the other
Yeah.
one. No fortifications. I don't want to see no fortifications. Says Catalyst.
No.
Get them out, huh?
Yeah. It looks like there aren't going to be fortifications in this game, which I'm pretty
Yeah, it
happy
doesn't seem
about.
like.
I
Yep.
was anti fortifications from the very freaking beginning. I thought it it, its sole purpose in my mind was to give players that are consistently on the score at the bottom of the scoreboard something to do in order for them to feel some kind of fulfillment of what they did during the match. And it's so stupid, right? Because you'll have some guy, some support player spend like 5 minutes doing absolutely nothing, building a fucking trench on the most obscure side of the map, or like a sandbag or something protecting the flag. And all it takes is one assault player to come around with, like some bazooka or something
And then blow his
and blow it up
smithereens.
and just blow up all of his hard work. And he'll still be at the bottom of the scoreboard, not, helping the team win, not pushing
Yeah.
objectives. Instead, he's mill simming it up, which, say
Yeah.
what you,
I just
he's mill
like,
simming it
yeah.
up, building it. Yeah. I was anti fortifications from the very beginning. In fact, I find that fortifications that only impaired me, and they were self-inflicted by teammates. Like the teammates would build those tank stoppers like around our own spawn, and I'm rushing back to the spawn smoking and get and run into our
Right.
own teammates tank stoppers, and I'd get killed. And oh boy, is that tilting. But
Yeah, well,
yeah, so
yeah, Battlefield 5 was so limited. Like, you can
yeah.
go into, uh, some of them just blocked off certain angles to get into a flag, and you don't have a grenade launcher to blow it up, right? You couldn't
Mm,
knife it down, nothing. You couldn't do anything as long as you had an explosive or something like that. It just really got in the way of things. It made the game really annoying to play, to be honest. But even when like you blow up the center town to smithereens, right, with tanks and whatnot,
yeah.
where's your fortifications to rebuild that? There's really not that much. What, like a halfway up sandbag? They'll just get blown up again by the. There's no hardcover. One
Yeah.
of the bad problems with fortification was hardcover, and you notice over time, guess what? They added those new temporary game modes. Everything was pre-built already, Callus. Everything was
Yep.
like, oh yeah,
Yep.
uh, I added all the fortifications there for you. Great. Oh, that just
And
shows me that your system is shit.
anti-fortification from
All
the
right.
very beginning.
All right, get it out. Also, on Catalyst's wish list here, no limited timed game modes. It looks like
Yeah,
that is now over. Here.
I was definitely in the mindset of like screw like all of I was like they took out domination, they took out front lines and they're,
Everyone's so mad. Yeah, they took
yeah,
out
I mean,
grind
and like the thing
permanently.
was is that the justification for removing those game modes is like, oh, not enough people are playing domination and front lines. Well, yeah, because you're putting in these limited time game modes that are only going to be there for 2 weeks and putting specific time support challenges to be accomplished only in those game modes. So
You're
what's everybody
stuck.
going to be playing? Those limited time game modes. So of course the
Yep.
player count's going to be down. So limit.
Bad takes everywhere. It was
I
awful.
think, yeah, I think it's not so much the limited time game modes. I think it's the effect of the limited time game modes. Like if there's a seasonal game mode, right? Like if they include, I don't know, say there's like some variant of a game mode that's there for like an entire season pass, like that's 2 months or something, right? Like that's plenty
Wait
of
a sec.
time.
Do you think they'll do this for All Out Warfare? Make
What?
their
Like
limited time game modes on All Out Warfare?
I have no idea. I
I
don't
don't have
know.
a
I'm kind of
feeling that
just
they might do
they
that.
might do
Because
that.
they want their dice experience. You know, that's what All Out Warfare is. I mean, that's the only
Yeah.
distinction I can tell of. But we'll see. We'll see what goes happens with that. I
Yeah,
suppose.
so like if there's something that they put into like a season pass, like saying, "Hey, for the second season, we're bringing back, let's say by some obscure circumstance that Frontlines isn't in the game. Like, hey, for this entire season, we are bringing back Frontlines for this game. You know, Um, which I guess I don't even know if they would do that, because if you can make those experiences in Battlefield Portal, would it really be a limited time event? So maybe they won't even do limited time events, but so
Oh
maybe
yeah,
that
that's a
whole
good
point
point.
is debunked.
That's a
So
good
maybe that
point.
whole point is debunked. But yeah, the whole limited time game mode thing was kind of just rage and fury over them getting rid of domination and frontlines, and only having grind in the game for like 2 weeks. I mean, in the current state of the game, when the Rush Frontlines domination playlist comes into the game like every 3 weeks, like that is the hot ticket, like in terms of servers. So
Yeah, exactly. All
yeah.
right. Let's see. Last one. Oh, last one.
Oh, we're
Finally.
at the end. That's incredible.
Oh my god, we made it.
Long
Okay.
video.
Last one on Callus's 2042 wish list I made back in April is don't focus on immersion.
Was that it? That was
That
the
was
lead
it.
up. That was
All
the lead
right.
up.
Talk is done, guys.
Talk is done. Yeah. All right. Yeah. No way. I think that they've knocked that one out of the park, right? If I can make that video again, see, April of 2020, I was still playing console. If I can make
Oh,
an amendment to that video, I would definitely include something about anti-cheat. This
yeah.
game needs to have some substantial anti-cheat, otherwise it is going to trip over its shoelaces coming out of the gate.
Oof.
I
Can't rely on admins,
Yeah,
man. I really
yeah,
can't.
you
Especially
can't.
if they're limited.
And I've been watching, guys in Oceania, like Spy and Chicken and Shady and Cyanide and all of those guys, like them getting just absolutely pounded by, the badmans over there. There's a couple in particular that I'm not going to name. But badmints need to go. There needs to be an anti-cheat system, and really just for the general sanity and health of the game, there needs to be an anti-cheat system. I mean, you
Yeah.
play a game on PC these days, if you are going anywhere above a 3 kill death ratio, you're getting accusated, and the entire lobby is getting sicked on your ass. Which it's kind of amusing. It's free content, but after a while, it's kind of just um, a sad, I guess, look on how the community is like mentally wise, mentality wise, when it comes to good players. And uh, yeah, I mean, if your own like community is so paranoid about cheating and hacking, which is a very valid problem, as we already said, it's a very valid problem. But if it's getting to that point where good players are getting like not only just banned out of servers, but um, just kind of being harassed in servers. I mean, so I'm in Seven, right? Like I joined Seven, which is a pretty well known competitive group, or really known. I guess they're more public these days, but I joined Seven, and there are people that will genuinely think that in my maybe 6 or 7 months, that I'm the same person as somebody like Secret Squirrel, or like,
Oh,
um,
congrats, by the way. Congrats.
oh, thank you. Uh, they'll think that we're all the same person, like hacking on different accounts. Like there's this huge conspiracy theory about Seven, like Deltara, myself, a Secret Squirrel. We're all like the same person on different accounts, just cheating and hacking. We're, like the mentality of the mentality of like the mental paranoia of like cheating and what it's done to this community. Like it's hurt this community so
Oh,
much.
baby. It's
So
bad.
there needs to be a robust anti-cheat system, just for the, if not for like the general health of the game, for God's sakes, the health of the player base, it needs it, because it's super bad at the moment. But
Yeah, we'll see what they do with ban waves. If they'll copy Call of Duty, or they'll do
yeah,
in-game notices like they did in Battlefield 1, where this user got banned on this server from Fair Fight or something like that. I actually kind of enjoyed that, even if it was true or not.
yeah,
You got
yeah,
some sort of thing that the anti-cheat was alive and doing something, not this secret conspiracy in some backlog server deep down a dungeon. EA is like, oh, we don't talk about that. Where every day you go on Battlefield 5 right now, and there's about 90% chance you will run into some sort of cheater on
yeah.
PC, and
I
God knows
could
what. Yeah.
I could end we could end this talk right now, and I could boot up my stream in like the next 10 minutes, and I'll play for 15 minutes and fight a cheater, no problem.
Yeah.
Or
There's no
or if I'm
hesitation.
if I'm playing well, like I would probably put money on the fact that I get hackusated in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
it is what it is. But robust anti-cheat system. If I could go back and make that video, now that I've transitioned to PC. I think it's a I said it earlier in the show, and I'll say it again. Like, for those of you on console who think that this is a joke and that PC players are just being super paranoid about players that are better than them and not actually cheating. No, it's a serious issue. Like, there is so much cheating in this game. It's actually insane how much cheating there is, and there
It's
needs to be
bad.
something done about it.
It's
And
bad, and it's gonna be bad in 2042. The onslaught, the wave of degenerates are coming. What are they gonna do to stop it? How are they gonna
man,
do that? They're gonna have to talk about, and they said they will talk about it when it's close to release.
yeah,
So we'll see what they have to say. I don't know,
it's
just
a
don't want
legacy
more
issue.
wishy-washy stuff. I
Yeah.
just don't
It's a
want it.
legacy issue too. I mean, it's the case in Battlefield 1 and
Every
Battlefield
game.
4. They need to get a handle on it though. Like, Battlefield 2042 is so important because of Battlefield 5. Battlefield 2042 is so important to the overall health and continuation of the franchise, and just an important game overall in FPS right now.
Yeah.
Because what else is there? Is there Warzone? Well, Warzone is getting overrun by cheaters too. And maybe this is such a scary thought to think about, but maybe it's getting to a point where cheating is just so rampant and so hard to deal with that this is just the way that it is, which I hope to God it's not that,
Screw
but
that.
yeah,
Can't lose to degenerate cheaters.
yeah.
Or I can't have that. I can't let
Give
them
us an
win this.
anti-cheat.
EA needs to step up and give us a damn good anti-cheat and work with the DICE people to get this figured out.
Mhm.
Put in the two-factor authentication, phone number stuff. You have to put in whatever you need to make their lives more difficult. Sue the
Hardware, IP
websites.
bans, yep,
Yeah,
all that
hardware
stuff.
bans, sue the websites, everything. Just try everything you possibly can. Otherwise, you're not trying. And we're just going to fall into the same situation again, all over again, right? Hands up,
Yep,
right?
yep,
Okay.
hands up.
All right, everybody. I think we covered just about everything we wanted to. We covered pretty much all of Portal and what we expect from it and all the questions. I know someone brought in the question of, can I make my own BR in Portal? No, you can't make your own BR in Portal, but it doesn't mean you won't in the future. There might be something they want to include later on down the line in Portal. It seems like this is a pretty robust and passion-filled project. We'll just have to see how they execute it and see what's popular when the game comes out. I think it's going to be a smash hit, in my opinion. And if they keep putting in new content over the seasons, man, we might be seeing around 21 maps if what I hear is true by the end of next year. So October 2022, we should see about 20 something maps. That's insane, and that's really cool. And if they keep up that pace, yo, this could be a massive game, and a lot of money might be going into it. So they gotta get the fundamentals. They gotta release a finished game,
Mhm.
get it done. No more company coin issues that plague you for 3 months. I don't want to see it. Get the performance issues. Get it done. Make sure the performance issues are in check. Make sure cross-play platform connections are good. You're gonna need the alpha and the beta to test all that shit. So we can't screw it up. Otherwise, it's gonna be another terrible launch, and nobody wants that. So let's hope they are listening to all of our feedback. And this is what the Battlefield show could possibly do to help out. We need more people to make their own Battlefield shows, their own podcasts to keep it going. Call of Duty has this. They have a lot of people that do their own podcasts, gaming podcasts. Go over the metas and go over whatever problems are happening. I want to do that here live on Twitch with fantastic guests like Catalyst HD
Oh,
that
thank
join
you.
me, and maybe one of you guys might be on here one day soon. So don't expect a show next week. Uh, Again, the game is not out. There's not a whole lot of stuff to talk about, and I kind of want to do this sparsely. So maybe in a couple of weeks we'll do another one of these with another brand new special guest, and somewhere around release time, we're gonna have the gang come back, and we're gonna discuss everything that we've done in the alpha or the beta, or everything we've seen and played in the beta um, near release. Okay, so
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Catalyst, for coming on the show.
Thank you, dude.
Episode man, season 3. I hope you guys
Season 3.
enjoyed it. It's gonna be a crazy year of content that they have promised for us. Let's see how it goes, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed any of this Battlefield content, please consider subscribing or on our YouTubes. Callus has a YouTube as well.
Yep.
This episode is gonna go right up on YouTube, and we'll be doing streaming these live on Twitch almost every week. Coming on up closer to release.
Yeah. I'll be
Everybody,
on. Oops, sorry.
yeah,
I was gonna say
go ahead.
I'll continue to be on YouTube. I'll post videos on Catalyst HD. So I don't know if there's the link to my Twitch there in the chat. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
Yep.
and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Been on a bit of a break, but we'll get back to that consistently. And then I'll be producing guides and montages and tutorials and commentaries for Battlefield
Can't wait.
2042 and beyond.
It's
So
gonna be wild for sure.
yeah,
And we'll be
thank
talking
you so
about
much,
it.
Julian, for
Hey,
having me,
no
man.
problem. This is a great show.
Glad.
Damn.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing this for so long,
I know. It's been
and
a
we finally got
year.
to do it. Yeah.
Yo, Shady. 1 year ago, Shady was our last guest on the Battlefield show, and he's here tonight, man. We're back, baby. Battlefield's back. Thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all have a fantastic night. If you enjoyed, follow the channel right here on Twitch. You can find us both on Twitter as well and on Twitch. We got Discords as well. So, yeah. See y'all next time. Have a good night. Peace out. Bye-bye.